Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Clayton.
And my name is James.
James, game week 14, done and dusted. The games are coming thick and fast. We're back with you all with a game week review pod, and we're going to try keep it efficient today. So we'll go straight into it.
I'm sure
Felt
we
like a
will
bit of a,
fail.
yeah, I'm sure we will fail with that. It felt like a unusual game week. There was rotation. I felt like it feels like it was a bit swingy. I've seen some really high highs. I've seen some real low lows from people. How did you get on this game week?
Yeah, not too bad. Tiny red. I'm basically sitting at exactly 100k after the game week. 70 minus 4. I guess it's landed okay for me because I held faith with Isak. And I know a lot of people obviously made that swing move to Jackson, who obviously didn't appear at all for Chelsea, coupled with so many other players obviously getting rotated or surprising ones like Gabriel obviously didn't make it for Arsenal. Caused a lot of problems. I mean, my five defenders, Clates, between them is 3 points.
Wow.
There's worse out there,
Is
without a
there? Yeah.
doubt. I mean, there's definitely teams that would have had things like Pedro Porro, Rico Lewis, Gabriel, Levi Colwell. I mean, that could easily be someone's kind of backline. So I think many of us are probably sitting there right now going, "No, I've got some defensive problems plus the usual kind of who's reliable in terms of keeping clean sheets. There's not many." So Isak's 11 did me kind of a real touch. That's what's made this game week okay. Morgan Rogers off the bench for me, 8 points in place of, I was going to say in place of Jackson. Yeah, he's in place of Jackson. I'd Wout Fass off the bench for Gabriel because I decided to put him above Lewis Hall on the bench. Not that it made any difference. Captain Cole Palmer, 14 points. No
How was
regrets
it
on that
only that?
decision. I mean, it's crazy. What was Chelsea's XG? 5.6 or something.
According to FOTMob, 5.43. Absolutely
That's
insane.
that's crazy.
That's got to be a
Chelsea's
record.
Cole Palmer specifically was obviously very high, but then he also has had a literal open goal where the XG on that it must be 0.99 or something. He can't miss. Mo Salah was the player that hurt me most this week, despite the fact that I own him. 18 points. Incredible. I mean, we'll talk about him more in a bit, I'm sure. João Pedro assist, David Raya, clean sheet. I don't know what I'm going to do yet this week. That's the honest truth. Particularly with the way my shitty football team played last night. I've not thought about it too much. It's either probably roll or enough with Pedro Porro, but it could be enough with Ray and Eight Nori or enough with Lewis Hall. I got zero point 0.3 in the bank. Joe Gomez is under consideration, but I'm not certain that he starts tomorrow. And Milos Kerkez, I think, of the kind of 4.5 is also under consideration. So's Levi Colwell, actually, having not played in midweek. He's a certainty, obviously, to play on Sunday. And although kind of the entry point doesn't feel right, despite the issues my football team has, the fixtures afterwards are gold, aren't they? But it is a boring pick. Milos Kerkez just a bit more fun, isn't it?
He is. He's more vibey, isn't he? But I think Chelsea, you're gonna get that consistency with them. Like you said, probably not the best entry point, but fixtures after look solid, right?
Yeah, but it's like if I'm going to go Porro to Colwell this week, like, what's the point?
Yeah, fair.
He's probably Chelsea probably win like 3-1 or something on Sunday, probably, don't they? Mind you, I'd say what's the point? Colwell could score a header from a set piece, couldn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, might do. Disaster got one.
So probably Porro to Colwell or Kirkes. Kind of got a strategic plan to. I need to get some money in the bank and get that up to a midfielder in sort of 7 million bracket around about game week 18. Kind of eyeing for that maybe to be Jota or Brennan Johnson if Tottenham can sort their lives out. Because no sooner have I banged the drum about Brennan Johnson's XG in every game so far this season, and put him on the left, and I don't think he touched the ball in the box yesterday. That didn't work at all, but he won't play on the left very often. Son was just rotated. So, truth is, I've not thought about it that much. I will do later today. I'd rather just talk about the games and kind of figure this out along the process during the day. Yourself?
Similar to you, slight red. So I got 62 points all out, which takes me down to 57k. I can hear the tiny violins. To be honest, I feel like I was saved by my transfer. I got slightly lucky again. I took out Porro, put in Timber. Enough said. 14 points there. Didn't foresee the benching coming for Porro. Was just wanted double Arsenal defense, but ended up with
That
single
saved you from
defense.
a shit week,
Oh,
basically. in
big
terms
time.
of comparative to others.
Absolutely, yeah. Similar things to you, though. I had Gabriel. I've got Colwill, so three of my defenders this week were Colwill, Gabriel, Anderson. So my only two defenders that came in were Dallo came in for Gabriel. Obviously had to field a non-playing defender, Timber, as I said already. I like you, Captain Palmer. No regrets at all. Seeing the statistics, watch the highlights of the game, was like, what? How has he only got that? And then João Pedro with an assist in there for me. So yeah, 62 all out. Yeah, I feel like that was a decent week to have a bad week. I don't think
Oh
it's
no, you said it. You went there. A good
I
week to have
did.
a bad week.
I went there. Get the football cliches tagging in, but yeah, I don't mind that one. I'm looking at rolling this week, similar to you. Not really sure what I want to do. Jimenez. Oh, shout out to Lewis, by the way, who absolutely smashed it with
Oh my God, didn't he?
some of his calls on Clash of the Correspondents, which we'll talk about.
Literally nailed everything on Clash of Correspondence yesterday to Muniz coming in for Jimenez, Iwobi playing central, Harry Wilson coming into the team, even Timothy Castagna coming in and playing at right back. Literally nailed it completely.
Some would say his middle names are Marco Silva. Unbelievable from
I
Lewis,
will
but
say, just in case we forget, he did say that he thought Muniz would come in for last night and because he would want Jimenez to play against Arsenal at the weekend for those who are concerned. But I guess with Arsenal and Liverpool next, people will be thinking about moving on Jimenez anyway.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's me. Probably gonna roll this week. I'd like the idea of going into the game week after with two frees, reassess the landscape. I'm not really sure where I'm at in terms of like the concerns possibly around Gabriel, though I think he'll be all right. Jimenez, like you said, probably someone that needs to be moved on, but I was kind of looking at him as a wider rotation with some of my other players. They can sit there and play against Southampton in a few weeks' time. So yeah, I'm gonna roll and see how we get on.
Yeah,
Before
you
we get
with what you've got, you weren't going to start him anyway. I'm guessing you're going to play Mitoma over him, are you?
exactly, yeah. So
Yeah.
currently my bus team has Jimenez and Colwill on the bench, and obviously Anderson plumped last on the bench. Before we get into the games, I know you said you want to do a little rundown of suspensions and
Yeah.
something else that I forgot what you
I
said
was
it was. Oh, the
completely up.
content
I
schedule.
said I wanted to do it, and yet I was completely unprepared for it because every week I think, oh, do you know what? We really should be in this period now where we're just kind of reminding people on a weekly basis of who's one yellow card from a ban. So players on four yellow cards that might be relevant for FPL purposes: Justin Cliver, Jan Paul van Heck. There will be a couple of people, I guess, on Pedro Neto, Nicholas Jackson, Daniel Munoz. I don't suppose anybody would be on Amari Hutchinson of Ipswich, Jamie Vardy, Ibrahim Konate is obviously, I guess, injured till the amnesty ends, which is 19th game, isn't it? And then it goes up to 10 yellow cards.
Yep.
Ryan Gravenberch is probably not a fantasy one, but it would be relevant for Liverpool as and when that suspension comes. Bernardo Silva's on four yellow cards. Harry Maguire's somehow on four yellow cards. Don't know if he's played four games this season. And Fabian Schär scored that dramatic equaliser the other night. He's on four yellow cards. Adam Armstrong, Emerson, Lucas Paquetá, Rayan Eight Nori, all of them on four yellow cards at the moment. In terms of content, just let you know what's happening the rest of this weekend. Differential show for patrons. I anticipate that'll be out around about 2 o'clock today. Team news stream for advanced tier patrons 10:30 p.m. tonight. Deadline stream for everybody on YouTube tomorrow morning 10 a.m. And I believe Sergio's in hiding, I guess, at the moment, following West Ham's wonderful performance on Tuesday. No, actually, he spoke about it at length on Patreon on Wednesday. Will be back with me on Monday for the review of this weekend's shit show. Let's talk about the games that happened in midweek. A reminder to everybody that the two games played on Tuesday, the two of us went through in detail on Wednesday's Clayton and James show. We went through them at the start. So if you do want to have a listen to the two games that we reviewed from Tuesday night, that's on Wednesday's Clayton and James show. Floor is yours, Clayton.
We'll start with Everton 4, Wolves nil. I
Is
don't
that where
think
we're
men
starting? Blimey.
Yeah, I don't think many people would have predicted this one, but yeah, huge result for Everton.
Definitely not Evertonians, I can
Yeah,
tell you.
definitely not them. But yeah, feels like it was a big week at the foot of the table with obviously Palace going and beating Ipswich, Leicester getting points against West Ham, Everton going and getting this. Yeah, big week at the foot of the table. But yeah, Everton 4, Wolves nil.
Yeah, I mean, we said we were not going to speak about West Ham much, but obviously it's relative with what's just happened to Wolves. That game on Monday night now, I don't know if there's ever been a more obvious El Sacchio clash in Premier League history, is there?
No, it's definitely up
It
there.
feels like both football clubs have basically come out and said, which if we lose, we're sacking the manager. That's how
What
it
happens if it
feels.
ends in a draw?
I don't
Do they
know.
both just
They
get an
both
extra
get
game?
sacked. I don't know. Yeah, that's the rumor going around on Julian Lopetegui is that he's being given Monday night. I had a conversation with a few of our patrons on when yesterday, following obviously the West Ham's defeat on Tuesday night, and we looked at him. We said, "Well, with West Ham, it's like, well, what if they win Monday night and then you lose to Bournemouth, sacked? It's like, okay, you beat Bournemouth, then you lose to Brighton, Whams, sacked. Okay, you win them three and then you lose to Southampton, sacked. So we kind of come to the conclusion that he's probably got to win the next four games, or West Ham are going to change. That's how it seems to me. Gary O'Neill unfortunately seemed very resigned after the game. He even spoke in his interview after the game about saying, his only concern is Wolves, and he went down the rabbit hole talking about, we know managers get sacked in football, and you could tell the reaction from the away end, and we've seen three of them this week. That a lot of the Wolves fans want him gone now.
Yeah.
So yeah, once you hit that, kind of as said on Wednesday's show about Lopetegui, it's interesting reflecting on kind of three real under pressure managers. Unfortunately, my one is now in there as well, Ange Postecoglou. Game week 12, West Ham won 2-0 at Newcastle. Wolves won 4-1 at Fulham. Tottenham won 4-0 at Manchester City.
It's mad how quickly
That's
football
not even
changes.
2 weeks
I
ago,
know,
Clates.
modern football, I do wonder in the age of no social media, would everything be so hyperbolic? Like maybe it would still be in the pubs and in the grounds and stuff, but I don't know. It does feel like it's heightened these days. Like you said, it's not even 2 weeks ago that happened.
Yeah, as the famous Duncan Alexander tweet, isn't it? That you're always striving to avoid being the club that's in crisis because there always is one. Right now, today, it feels like it's my club. Yesterday, it was Wolves. Wednesday, it was West Ham. They're all kind of in a little bit of a mini crisis. This is a disastrous result for Wolves, which Craig Dawson celebrated, I think, his 300th Premier League appearance by becoming Everton's joint second highest goal scorer
I saw
this
that
season.
stat.
What was most amusing about the two own goals was Dominic Calvert-Lewin nearly being there for both of them, and people kind of wanted to react to him and go, "Dom, you scored," and him going, "No, it's not me, kids.
Yeah.
It's not me." So I mean, where Wolves go from there? The team selection is bizarre. Going back to a back three and still leaving Mario Lemina as a right-sided centre back within there. I'm not quite sure where Toti Gomez came out. It kind of gives them natural balance to play out from the left-hand side. You are going to have more of the ball against Everton than you have against many teams in the league. They brought Guedes into the team, which I know a number of Wolves fans were calling for. He was quite disappointing by all accounts. Cunha was quite deep in the game. I know a lot of people obviously gone over some of the stats of his over the last couple of games. It only seems to be like shots from distance. He had a decent one very early on in the game. But he's one of them. I think if you don't own, you probably shouldn't be going there at the moment. But also, those who own probably shouldn't be coming off because the reality is it's still West Ham, Ipswich, Leicester
Yep.
in the next three.
What about eight Nuri owners? Obviously, they've
Oh,
shipped 8 goals in 2 games now.
so eight Nori is a bizarre one, and again, was joking about this yesterday. He's like, since I brought him in, he's done nothing. No,
Yeah.
not been near anything for me, and I'm up 0.4 on him.
Whoa.
It's mental.
Yeah, I shipped him a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, timing was quite lucky from me on that.
He's one of them because the fixtures kept getting good. It's like when everyone was looking to kind of plug, I want to defend. Oh, yeah, Wolves fixtures good. Wolves fixtures good. Wolves fixtures good. And the thing is, you could dump now, but the reality is, sure, Monday night is not great, but West Ham are in a shitter as well. Could Wolves go there and win 1-0? I mean, probably not the way they're defending, but it's not impossible. They could change the manager, and then you've got a manager bounce for Ipswich against Leicester. So he's probably a leave. My take on it at the moment is one of the things that really changed in my mind was I'm going to play Lewis Hall over 8 this week. Not that I fancy Lewis Hall to do anything at Brentford, but I haven't got Mbeumo now, so I've not got the confliction in it. And just almost knowing that I don't see Wolves getting a clean sheet in any game. How many have they conceded, Clates? It's like 40 plus, isn't it?
What, this season?
Yeah,
Yeah, so they've conceded 36 goals in the league.
36 in
Yeah,
14 games.
yeah, it's not good. I mean, state the obvious there, but yeah, they're the worst.
The
Southampton next for us.
the problem with that football club for Wolves is, and I think most who support Wolves know, there is an ownership problem in the sense what they want to do, how they're going to spend their money, are they still going to invest in the team? So actually attracting the right manager feels like there's a few like if they went for Potter's I'm not doing that.
I couldn't tell you what
That's how
their
it feels at the
identity
moment.
is as a football club. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Julian Lopetegui walked out on the eve of the previous season. Ironically, Wolves might finish him off actually on Monday night, but he knew that the investment in the team wasn't coming. So he was like, okay, I've kind of done the remit, kept you up comfortably. I'm going to go while the stock's higher, kind of gig. Yeah, they'll struggle to get what they really want in terms of a manager, but unfortunately, with Gary O'Neill, it seems like once you're right down at the bottom of the league, if the fans have turned, they've had enough.
It's an uphill battle then.
Yeah, I think so. Probably delaying the inevitable. It's a really big few games for Wolves, West Ham, Ipswich, Leicester, whatever they decide to do, because then after that, they get the swing back of what happened at the start of the season with the really rough fixtures come around again. And so you could only imagine at the moment that they're going to stay down there and in trouble. And if don't plug the gaps defensively, if something happens where Cunha and Larson stop scoring, they are in massive trouble.
Yeah. For Everton, the timing was great to get those 3 points. Because similar to Palace, to be honest, like the next few games are absolutely brutal for Everton.
Well, I mean, this is it again. Starting at the start of the week and going, well, Sean Dyche is gone as soon as the takeover happens, and it was the sort of result that would make people sit back and go, "Oh, blimey!" It's worth saying Everton's underlying numbers from the game aren't particularly great. I think I presume Dawson had the highest XG, did he?
He might have done actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you call it own goal XG? I
I
suppose.
don't know.
Probably. I mean, if there was such a thing, he probably would be, wouldn't he? I think Everton's XG was under one.
Yeah, because Young
But
scored a free kick,
but
didn't
it
he?
but it doesn't count, and Mangala's goal was from distance as well. That doesn't count the fact that the OGs obviously don't count as part of that XG. Brilliant result for Everton. What we know about them is, or what we know about Sean Dyche is, when you have a good result, you know what happens next, Clayton?
Usually yes, but I don't know about this time. I don't see them picking up points in the next four. Famous last words,
No,
because
you read the room wrong, sir. He'll pick the exact same team.
oh, sorry. Um,
So they changed it
yeah.
up a little bit, which is a little bit more stable, I think, ironically, off the ball as well, with Decore back in the team as in the 10 position or moved further up. Mangala and Gay, I think, is the most stable central midfield two for them at the moment. And then had McNeil obviously go back into a wide area. I've not seen a huge amount of the game. It looks like him and Dye were changing during the course of the game. Yeah, he'll pick the same team against Liverpool on Saturday lunchtime. On that basis as well, by the way, for the bit of scaremongering, we've got a storm coming.
Yeah.
Big wins, and Goodison Park's been there for a long time.
Get the vice captains ready.
There was a game. This is the stat that people keep mentioning. There was a game week in I want to say the 13-14 season midweek set of fixtures where loads of games on a weeknight got postponed really close to kickoff. It was definitely Everton were at home was postponed. Manchester City was another, and there was another game as well, kind of a lot up in the northwest. And they were postponed because of safety reasons, because of the high winds in terms of potential structural damage to roofs and things like that. The winds predicted tomorrow are higher than the winds were that night.
So we joke about it, but do you think it's a possibility that there could be a postponement?
I think it's probably good for FPL managers that Everton Liverpool is to 12:30 kickoff.
Interesting.
And just to add to the noise on that as well, that Everton game that night was postponed after the team sheets had already gone in. That's part why I say that.
Okay.
So no, I'm sure that everything will be fine, won't it? Won't it? Because I'm like Michael Frost. I know what the weather's going to be. So yeah, just keep your ears to the ground. But it might be a good idea for people possibly to just wait till the morning because the storm's obviously going to begin to come tonight and then into tomorrow. I imagine it's a 12:30 kickoff. That'll probably help. I'm sure it'll be fine. Um, no one's invested in Everton or Wolves new, I don't think. Like, if you're not a Cunha owner like me, I don't think you're doing anything about that at the moment, but I don't think you should necessarily sell. And even in the 8 Nori case, truthfully, they could change manager. You've then maybe got a bounce for Ipswich against and Leicester. So it's probably hold on, but you're not investing in either of these two teams. at all.
No.
Massive result for Everton, but the fixtures next: Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, the next four, the four best teams in the league.
Next up, Man City 3, Nottingham Forest nil. Back to winning ways. First win since the 26th of October. A few changes to the lineup, a few tactical tweaks. As normal service resumed
Yes,
in Manchester.
I don't want to tell you that I told you so, but I'm gonna, for a change,
Go for it,
I'm
mate.
gonna do this and say this was the perfect fixture for Manchester City. But it wasn't without its minor issues. I mean, have you seen the Chris Wood miss at 1
I
nil?
have, yeah. And Gibbs White
Bloody
had a
hell.
chance that Ortega saved quite nicely as well. I think like City deserved to win, but there were a couple minuscule moments in the game where I think it could have swung slightly differently.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if Wood scores, you don't know what the kind of the crowd reaction, the emotive reaction is, and probably the fact that he's had such a big chance and missed. Probably inwardly, a lot of the City players, well, we've got rid of one, we've got away with one for a change here, actually. So, yeah, I just think it was an ideal game for them in terms of the big structural problems City have been teams playing through lines through the middle of them, and for Forest, I see the threat more being counter-attacking, absorbing quite often in wide areas rather than actually intricacies in terms of playing through teams centrally. And I think actually the game against Palace tomorrow kind of falls under a similar line. The difference with this one is going to Palace can be a rank struggle if you don't score early. And I think with Palace's back three, system wise, it's obviously very different. And as seen with them Tuesday night, that they're stable defensively now, in my opinion, and getting key players back like Chake Decore in midfield. They have people like Eze who can obviously hurt, but it's not the intricacies through central that I think really is what's troubling City the most at the moment. So I think the fixture tomorrow is okay for them as well. So there's a chance to win another game, and it's Manchester Derby next. You win that, and it's like, okay, everything's fine, and City are back. I don't think they quite are. As you said, a few little tactical tweaks. So Akanji basically played right back. Diaz and Aki centrally. Both Akanji and Aki look like they've picked up injury issues. So Akanji is a doubt for the weekend. Nathan Aki, I believe, is a hamstring problem and is probably going to keep him out till the new year. The instinct off that straight away is, well, Josko Vardiol is the only left-footed player left. So he's locked in the team. And I tell you what, based on how we played the other night, you would want him in your FPL team despite City's problems because that is the advanced left back that you want. He was disappearing from left back into number 10 half space positions, and they were having that triangle rotation again off the left hand side. And we saw quite a lot of really at the start of the season. That wasn't as a direct impact of Kevin De Bruyne playing in the left 10 position because he didn't. He played in the right 10 position. Jack Grealish played centrally.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think myself included, have been wanting to see him in that role. I didn't watch the game because I was at Arsenal, but sounds like he performed quite well.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, the chaos of Doku scored a lovely goal. I kind of screamed for that. I think City need to go back to a little bit of chaos. It's not good for Haaland.
No,
Sorry, it's not. Although Haaland does assist with the nice pass for Doku and then he carries. It's kind of a counter-attacking transitional goal, though, isn't it? Not the sort of one you really kind of
associate with
must
them.
with being a typical City goal, actually. I would worry for them a little bit, despite what I said about the game against Palace. I would worry for them in terms of transition if Palace can play through quite direct off of Gundogan being the six and Grealish and De Bruyne ahead of that. Like if Eze is picking up pockets to Gundogan's right if he's defending, then that's problematic. And obviously Palace have a ball carrier and Ismail Assar will be to the other side of him. So yeah, Palace could, I'd see Palace being more likely to get a result than I thought Forest would. I think City couldn't have dreamed up a better fixture than this. I wouldn't be steaming into De Bruyne. Have you seen his interview after the game?
I did see a couple of his interviews, but I can't remember what the main takeaway from it was.
I mean, he pretty much said that I'm playing in constant pain. Playing in constant pain. Easy for you to say, no, I didn't drink last night. I wish I bloody had. I wouldn't be going there at all for anyone who's like, De Bruyne's back. Get it. No.
Haaland owners, though, what should they be doing? Because I think a lot of people that owned him still captained him, and I think it was the right decision going into it.
Oh yeah, again, if I'd have had him, I'd have captained him again.
Is it time to get rid now, though?
Well, that was about 7 weeks ago, Clays.
No, I know, but I could understand people wanting to keep it for Forest at home,
The
but he's
problem is, and I get the tear for Haaland owners, right? Because almost inevitably right now, if you're an Erling Haaland owner and you sell him at this point, You are heading in a direction to Bukayo Saka, Cole Palmer, Mo Salah, the Embassy
Go on,
frame.
say it, say it. There you
There you
go.
go. MBC. I said it. Right. You are heading there. And there's a chance, by the way, if you're like, you've got Salah, you might not have either Saka or Palmer at this point. You could go, oh, I'll delay getting Palmer. It's Tottenham away this week. I probably wouldn't do that, by the way, kids. There's a danger of just heading to what everyone else has got. And ultimately, in this game, for anyone who's targeting to finish first, you ain't doing that if you just do the same things as everybody else. Now, the damage has been so bad, though, at some point you go, do we call it quits?
I'm
My per
looking at, can I get him?
Well, what did I say to you on, I think, on the Patreon Q&A on Monday? I said it would be negligent not to look at it.
Yeah, I was looking at those fixtures, De Bruyne being back in the team. I'm like, I don't know.
I can tell you what the answer for me would be right now is if Mo Salah pulled his hamstring on Saturday, there's every chance I'm going to go and buy him straight away,
Yeah,
genuinely.
me too.
But that's what it needs. If Palmer or Saka got injured, that's not enough for me to force Haaland in. It would have to be only if something happened to Mo. Otherwise, it's off the table for me. I would personally, if I was sitting there and I owned him, I would look at that Palace back three and think he ain't having much space in behind or anything like that. I'd be cutting. I'd be
Yeah.
cutting.
Yeah, when
So
I say I'm looking at ways to get him, I must say it's from game week 18 onwards, to be honest, where they start with Everton at home, Leicester away. But there's games in there in between where you can kind of assess it,
but
right?
this is like with 18, Palmer's in the middle of a great run, which has got Brentford, Everton before it. Okay, Fulham at home actually is a test in 18, but then straight afterwards he's got Ipswich and Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves before they go to Man City, and then even after Man City, West Ham at home
Yeah, that's the
straight
thing. It's like,
afterwards.
how do you
And
facilitate
in
it, right?
18, Salah's got Leicester at home and Saka's got Ipswich at home.
I think it's one of them where, like you said, it that would have to be an injury to force that in. But yeah, like you said as well, I think it's negligent to not look at it as oh, there's a swing there.
Yeah, but I think it's probably time for people who own. But I can completely get the, well, this has gone so bad and Salah's overperformance is obviously ridiculous at the moment and stuff. Yeah, it could go against him soon, like it went against Haaland after the first 4 weeks. But it doesn't feel like that with Mo Salah at the moment. And it's not like you're looking at Liverpool's fiction and going, they're bad. I mean, bloody hell, Everton, Fulham's the toughest game he's got in the immediate. Tottenham away, he'll have chances. Leicester, West Ham, United, Forest, Brentford, Ipswich, Bournemouth. I mean, bloody hell. Yeah, you can't see that over that period Salah would have a period like Haaland's just had
No,
over this
no, hard
period.
to see it right now the way he's performing. Anything on Forest?
Um, from a fantasy perspective, absolutely nothing at this minute. I mean, United away is another tricky game where I'd probably get nothing against tomorrow. They're defensively sound. When the time is right, invest in their defensive players is not a bad idea at all because they are the sort of team that when they win games feel like they will be 1-0, 2-0, or they'll be low scoring. Forest aren't a team you think, oh, Forest will win 4-2 at the weekend. Like, don't. And for that reason, those who've held wood, no, he still had the big chance at City, and you do absolutely feel like he's talisman. There's no doubt about it. So if people go, well, I want that. They've got good fixtures again from after this weekend, and they aren't bad again once you get past this weekend. I can understand holding on to him as a talisman who you feel confident is going to play the majority of games or at least start them and play sort of 75 to 80. The defensive guys, if you're on, I think you're keeping it. You know, you've just been looking to rotate here at the moment,
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
guess. But I think the time to invest in Forest will come back again in a few weeks. It's not there at the moment. Just one more note on Vardy. I didn't kind of really finish what I was going to say in the sense that because of Aki's injury, you think he'll play all the time. Right. Well, don't sit here and think that Rico Lewis can't go and play from left back and go and play into left midfield or left 10 positions. Like he can. But that on the bits I watched Wednesday, that's Vardy back on alert. And for someone like Suj who owns him, that's like to be honest, he's got the same thing again this week where he's got Vardy and Lewis. He's probably just got to play them both again.
Yeah, 100%. You just got to
I
roll the
think
dice.
Yeah, Lewis could easily come back into the team this week, but that's just a never going away problem. The difference between the two, I mean, there's two differences. One, you're paying a lot more for Vardiol, so I understand that's more problematic when he doesn't play. But when he does play, if he's going to play like this, there's massive haul potential. He should have scored in this game.
Yeah. On to the next one. There were goals, goals, goals this week, weren't there? Newcastle 3, Liverpool 3. I mean, this was one where I didn't get to see any of it live, so just watch the highlights because I was at the Emirates. But yeah, you kind of got the feeling of you knew what was going on by people's reactions in the stadium and stuff, to be honest.
Oh, really? People probably keeping an eye like Liverpool losing and stuff like that.
Yeah, the guy next to me was
Well, I
checking
suppose it kicked
sofa
off
score.
earlier as well, so that probably
Exactly,
helps.
yeah. So
Yeah.
going into the game, you kind of knew the score. Guy next to me was checking sofa score and stuff. And then there was I think it was around the 58th minute in the Arsenal game where I think full time had gone in St James's Park, and it was like, oh, okay, I think I know what's going on here. But yeah, Mo Salah flipping hell, this level of consistency, it's just absurd, isn't it?
What is he on? 151 points?
I can find that for you in a second.
I think it is
I mean, if it is
151.
that, that is crazy. 151 points so far. Yes, you're right. That's mental. That's 10.8 points per match.
Yeah. I mean, his record season is 303. We are at the end of game week 14. He is 1 point short of halfway, or half a point short of halfway of his best season. I genuinely think he just looks unplayable at the moment. He could, I mean, although the underlying numbers aren't brilliant for him, he could have had more. He smashed the angle of post and bar as well with a brilliant effort. And you know what? For the first out, it kind of similar to the Southampton game. And he did have a couple of efforts early in the Southampton game. But for him specifically, it kind of hit the point early in the second half. Like he's been quiet and then he's just gone up a level. He partly grabbed that game. And he's not the sort of player, oh, he grabbed the game, but he kind of felt like he did. The assist for Jones, his goal, is cute and it's brilliantly finished
I
by
was going to say,
Curtis
what a
Jones.
finish. Yeah.
Actually, really well finished. He's at the moment, obviously, like I said, he's done Hall and he's hit the kind of angle of post and bar. He's just slammed the thing. The finish for the second, I mean, if you watch it back, he's so driven to get into the position. It lands on his less favoured foot and he finishes it so cute. And then the finish for the third goal, which is actually an outrageous goal overall from Liverpool in terms of having Newcastle penned in and the speed of which they're playing at that point. You can feel it. Everyone in the ground would have been feeling at that moment. This is a big moment right now. And he has the awareness to take the touch, to just control it to his left. And as he turns, the whole world's thinking, yep, you've scored.
Yep.
And when you're at that with a player, he's so confident at this
There's
moment.
two games.
His fitness levels to me look the best they've ever been.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
it's remarkable.
There's only been two games in the league where he's not returned. That is absolutely mind blowing, the level of consistency.
And those games were one is Crystal Palace away, ironically.
Correct. I reckon you'll get the other one.
Um, was it a home game? Was it Bournemouth at home?
Who do they lose to?
Oh, Forest, obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry, of course, yeah. I reckon he'll get it. Yeah, pick the game they lost, James. And they could have lost this. One thing just to clarify, right? There are lots of moaning about the refereeing performance. The referee performance was absolutely fine. And people want to, oh, Isak was running through one on one at the end. Please watch it back.
So I've not actually seen this. Can you explain to me and people that haven't seen it what happened? Because I've just
Hope
seen it through Twitter.
it's literally just gone past 95 or 96, whatever the allotted amount for added time was on. And Pope sees an opportunity to counter and throws it out. And the ball, before it's even got to Isak, and Isak is in his half, the referee blows the final whistle. A lot of people don't hear it. So you've got two or three players carry on and run. And the rest of on the other side of the pitch, everyone else has stopped and have given up because they've heard the whistle because the referee was closer in
Yeah,
earshot to
played
them
to the whistle.
or whatever. Because what happened at the time that he roared, the crowd could sense there was a counter-attack opportunity. So there was a few players who didn't hear it. There was obviously a lot of the crowd didn't hear it. And then you got people posting stills of like Isak on the edge of the area. And oh my God, the referee's robbed Newcastle. Please just watch it. As the ball goes past the referee, you can see him blowing the whistle.
Okay,
And the
fair enough.
referee's in the Newcastle half, right? It would have been no different. I think because it was thrown out, people looked at it differently. Like if Pope had just launched one quick, you'd have gone, well, it's almost like from a goal kick or something. You know, how many times does a referee do that? Oh, when he kicks it long, the ref's going to blow his
Yeah,
whistle.
that's
And I
when
always
you'll
think,
get.
what do you wait for? It's a goal kick. What do you think's going to happen in that moment that the ball's 50 yards in the air to waste everybody's time for 30 seconds? Just blow the whistle.
Yeah, there must be a rule on that. Not sure.
No, but there isn't, is there? Because
I don't
every now
know.
and again, the ball will go out for a goal kick, and a referee will go, "Yeah, I'm gonna call it." I just never know while we wait for that moment. How many games do you watch where a goal kick's being about to be taken? You think as soon as he kicks it, I know
It's
the
gonna
whistle's
go.
going to go.
Yep,
What do you wait for?
almost all of them. Yeah.
Let's just go home. So yeah, that wasn't a problem. Also, I know there was a few people thought it was a foul by Quansah on Isak. Again, from the referee's viewpoint, Quansah gets a little bit of the ball. There is contact in terms of fire to fire as well. I think Quansah gets a bit of it. VAR's never overturning that. No chance because it's not a clear and obvious error. You'd go, well, Quansah's goal to the ball there as well. So no, and actually, Newcastle fans shouldn't focus on that because this was a much improved performance. This was a typical, we're at St James's, the crowd's up, the game is fast, all those things. They opened up way more than I expected. I thought because of the success they'd had against yourselves and City in home games, they would probably absorb Liverpool onto them a lot. And it was bits of that. But actually, in the first half, Newcastle were the better side by distance. Anthony Gordon should have put them two up after Isak's outrageous goal.
Yeah, what a finish that was.
He's such a he's a player I really admire till he's wearing a red and white shirt next summer, I suspect, and I'll like him a lot less. Very happy to have him. My take on holding him was very much I was never kind of bothered about having him for Liverpool anyway, and he was going to be kind of either or. So I was kind of the viewpoint of, well, I've got Rodgers sitting first sub, not knowing how many other problems I would have this week, and thinking, well, if Isak doesn't make it, that's all right. I wasn't expecting big things against Liverpool anyway. And these next fixtures, Brentford, Leicester, Ipswich,
Yeah, nice fixtures up.
yeah, good fixtures for him. Anthony Gordon was better, took the goal well, but also, as said, missed the chance in the first half. I have a concern about him, though, in the sense that these games feel more suitable for him.
What do you mean by
Space.
these sort of games? Space,
Space.
yeah.
Space is easier to come by when you're absorbing teams onto them.
So when you look
He,
at those next three, do you see space in those games?
well, this is where you can kind of spin your narrative either way. Because I actually think Newcastle might win tomorrow at Brentford. And Gordon might find that space in this game because I think anybody who watched bits of Villa Brentford the other night will see the problems Brentford continue to have against good sides when they tend to go man to man all over the pitch. Watch Matty Cash's goal and just look at things like Keane Lewis Potter, and it's not his fault, it's under instruction. He's just following Leon Bailey around. He's basically playing left back. And Bailey's not out there, he's going into central areas and stuff. So he might have some joy with that. Also, look at the opportunities Leicester gave up against West Ham the other night, and you think, well, yeah, Leicester sat quite deep for a lot of that, and West Ham still had loads of chances. You would expect them, Newcastle at St James's, to give them troubles. Ipswich is the ugliest one, actually, of the three, maybe, because Ipswich's games are largely being quite low scoring at the moment. So I can get it. I'm not quite there in terms of Anthony Gordon at the moment, in terms of FPL, and also feel like there's any game where it could be, yeah, you're back on the right and Barnes is coming in. I really don't like him off the right for
Yeah,
fantasy
me
purposes.
either.
Despite I know he put that great cross in against your team, but it's not what you're looking for from Anthony Gordon. You're looking for him a la his goal, that sort of position where he's receiving the pass of Isak and you're getting him kind of at the angle running in at goal onto his favoured foot. Defensively, it would still be Hall if you want to go there, and I can understand that loads of people have got defensive issues at the moment, and you look at the next three fixtures and think, yeah, okay, I'll invest in Newcastle. Then there's a few kind of a tougher run a little bit in terms of Villa, United, and Tottenham in a row, but then there's good fixtures again from game week 21. So Lewis Hall, actually, I know I mentioned earlier, but he's not on the chopping block for me.
No.
I just feel like that's one that's gonna sit there for me, and I'll use him or I'll not use him. I probably am going to use him this week, ironically, going up against Bryan Mbeumo. Liverpool, this is why I don't think they'll win it.
Why?
The chaos here.
So obviously I didn't get a chance to watch the whole game. So when you say chaos, what? Just complete end to end, like you said, Newcastle being able to exploit spaces. Is that a one-off thing, or is that a theme you're seeing with Liverpool then?
I just think there's vulnerabilities, and we can understand why at the moment, in the sense there's not a lot they can do defensively. Robertson's played more than probably Arne Slot would have wanted recently because Shimikas has had a problem. Konate's obviously missed the last couple of league games, and actually that Joe Gomez was outstanding against Manchester City. He was not outstanding on Wednesday night, I can tell you. And Jarrell Quansah come in for Trent because it obviously deemed that they had to play Trent against City and didn't want to take the risk on him breaking down again.
Yeah.
If you are a Trent owner, do not be concerned. And I can totally also understand why people want to go there. Trent will definitely play at Everton tomorrow. He's obviously come on and assisted both of Salah's goals as well. Only the 6 points though, because he also got booked. Although back in the day, that probably would have still got him some sort of bonus, I should
Yeah.
imagine, maybe in the
Back
past.
then it would have, yep.
You're not getting it now. But I can see the appeal, and he just went so advanced when he came on. But then they don't see out the big moment at the end, which I don't want to be critical on the team because it's a big goalkeeping error. But he's been very good for them, Kelleher. He's done really well. He just thinks it's going out of play, doesn't he? How Fabian Schär manages to score from that angle is
Yeah, I
do it
don't think
100 times over and do it 2 or 3 times, I should
I
imagine.
think he was literally just trying to make contact with the ball. Like,
100%.
yeah, I don't think he was
Yeah.
aiming anything.
I don't think he's thinking, I'm scoring here. He
Yeah,
can't have. No, he's just trying to
just
kick the
pure
ball and
reaction.
direct it towards goal, keep it in play. And it's gone in absolutely perfectly. Remarkable finish. Brilliant game of football. Thoroughly enjoyable. This was the game I understandably ended up watching the most of on Wednesday night. Luis Diaz, another one that definitely you would think, with the way they've rotated recently, will definitely play. I have no concern about Salah playing tomorrow. I think the key to that is I always had a fear this week. Early kickoff after City, Newcastle. Could he be rested here? I think they'll want to get him on the pitch. I do think there's a case tomorrow that if the game goes really well for them, that they might try and take him off early.
And like you always say,
But
if that happens, he's been in the goals, right?
if I said to you now, he goes off after 70 minutes and Liverpool are 3-0 up.
I'll say how
Be
many of
pretty.
the three has he scored?
Well, he might be all of them. Yeah. I don't think he'll. I think Liverpool are going to really heavily rotate at Girona in the Champions League on Tuesday. They're in the luxury position, 15 points. They can. They really should treat that almost like a second string game. I think to get
Yeah, I
the
think they will as
recovery
well.
right before they then play Fulham in game week 16. So yeah, I think Salah will play tomorrow. I'll be captaining him. I need a very good reason at the moment not to. I think we all do. And I think you and I both said no regrets on captaining Cole Palmer this week. I think Palmer and Watkins are really good alternatives for this week. If you want to captain them, I think they're probably both better than Haaland, actually, this week, those two players. But I don't have enough reason
Watkins just
to
feels like
want
the
to take
best
Mo on.
vice captain this week, isn't it?
Well, the fact that Watkins came off at like 65 minutes is a really good sign. That's if you went Watkins, we'll talk about it in a bit. That was the kind of the perfect scenario. Yeah, I think Salah plays. I've not got enough reason to go against him this week, so I'm not
No,
going
me either.
to. And
He's
I
my best
think
cap.
when I look ahead at weeks now, I'm asking myself, well, when am I? There isn't going to be many. I even look at things like Tottenham away in 17, and the fixtures for say Palmer at Everton, Saka at Palace don't actually feel strong enough for me to think, oh yeah, because we're going to keep Salah out. But also we might have Van der Ven and Romero back by then, so in a couple of weeks it might feel a little bit different. Might have a new manager as well, maybe. I think Liverpool are vulnerable in some of these big away games, and actually even in that one, if Tottenham do have the two centre backs back, they'll be vulnerable at Tottenham in game week 17.
Okay, you've encouraged me because yeah, I haven't shared that same
Arsenal are just
enthusiasm.
not going to get involved in that sort of game.
I don't know, like yeah, I think with a fully fit squad, probably not, but you never know. Injuries can dictate things massively, so long way to go.
Absolutely, and it may well get decided by that sort of thing. I also think quite key for Liverpool. I think Arsenal and Chelsea squads are stronger.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah, and that segues nicely onto the
So
next
if you
one.
take out like Van Dijk and Salah from that, you'd suddenly go, oh, shit.
Yeah, of course, it goes for every team, right? But yeah, you speak about strong squads, and yeah, Southampton 1, Chelsea 5. Must say, Maresca is doing a fantastic job here, and like this was a game of points dodging, like rotation. There'll be Sanchez owners there. There'll be Jackson owners. There's Palmer captainers like ourselves and many others. How we've said it already. How he's just got the one goal. Yeah, Maresca doing a fantastic job. Chelsea fans seemingly in unison with like the videos from the away end, all singing the manager's name and stuff. Yeah, it's all going very well at Chelsea. 5-1, smacking on the road.
I wish Jackson had got books against Villa. I would have bought on Kunku. I was kind of clear on my mind on that Friday night.
Would you actually?
Yeah. Yeah, I tweeted it on
Oh,
Twitter and
okay.
Blue
I
Sky.
missed
If
that.
Jackson gets booked at the weekend, I would have captained him.
What, and then what would you have done
I'd have
after?
bought him in and captained him.
But then,
What
like
this week?
for just
Sold
one
him
week.
straight afterwards or benched
Fair
him.
play. All right.
That was generally the plan I had, but there was no way I was doing that with Jackson not getting booked at the
Of course.
weekend. There was I wasn't going to know if he was going to play or not. And I guess there is the element, you know, you say, well, a bit unfortunate with Palmer captaincy, but I guess he did play. It was quite amusing when after he scored, it was like get him straight off the pitch because that was 4-1. I don't know what Maresca was worried about, but it was a VAR check for a possible foul, ironically, by Nkunku on the goal, which couldn't have really complained actually if it had been given as a foul. But again, it wasn't one VAR I think was going to overturn because Nkunku plays the ball as well as the man at the same time. But when he was going to take Palmer off, and when the VAR check's going on, he's like, wait, 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 wait. It was like if it wasn't given, he wasn't taking Palmer off.
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, he wasn't going to take him off, which is weird because Southampton were down to 10 men and all over the place. Like you got a 2 goal advantage, you didn't need him, and I think a lot of us were thinking he's coming off at half time, and he'd obviously point dodged in the first half. He'd had a chance which he had this beautiful control with his right foot, which Joanna Lumley saved onto the post, and then from the corner he crossed it in, and that hit the bar. It was just dodging it massively.
There were even assists in there, like João Felix missed a header which Palmer crossed in. There was another one where I think it would have been a fantasy assist where Madueke maybe put it wide and it was on the back of a Palmer shot.
There was another one as well where I think Madueke had played him in, and João Felix ran into Cole Palmer's space. It's like, where are you going? And Felix took the ball. Where are you going? I mean, yeah, Chelsea could have had more ridiculous. And yeah, look, Southampton weren't helped by the suspensions coming into this. Also, injury issues coming into. I thought Bednarek would maybe make it based on the team news. He didn't. Ended up playing Wood at centre back, who we haven't seen all season. Might as well have been Chris Wood at fucking centre back for him, to be honest. And then Jack Stevens. I mean, what
What
are you
is he
doing, man?
doing? In the world of VAR and cameras, like, just what are you
The
doing?
thing is, as well, this is one, and I realise it's a while ago, but obviously Romero got away with the hair pull on
First thing that came to
Cucurella.
mind.
It's over 2 years ago now on Cucurella. And the reaction afterwards was everyone knew that it should have been a red card. And there's the famous Mike Dean didn't send Anthony Taylor to the screen because he didn't want to get his mate in trouble. He'd had enough stress, like bizarre. So everybody knew from that because I remember doing on the pod afterwards and being like, I don't know if that's a red card or not.
Yeah, it's
Like
a
a shirt, like
unique.
a shirt pull's not a red
What
card.
do you
So
do
he's,
for a
he's
hair
pulling
pull?
he's pulling hair, and it was kind of agreed. No, 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 you can't do that. That's the unanimous. It's a red card. Okay, fine. So now we know. What an idiot. What an idiot. At least with Romero, I mean, it's bad, but Romero proper yanked him. Didn't even really do it
Yeah,
like
do it
enough to
properly if
really
you're gonna
hurt
get
him.
sent off, right?
You know, man. He'd also got sent off for that ridiculous challenge on Alejandro Garnacho, game week 4 or 5,
Forgot
whenever
about
that
that.
was.
Yeah.
So he's on a 4 game ban. Like they haven't got enough problems already. That's a 3 game Premier League ban because they've got a Carabao Cup quarter final. And yeah, I mean, you're already without Harwood Bellis suspended, Bednarek injured as well. You're kind of the one senior centre back left, and you do that. Is it any wonder they got absolutely twatted? James Bree playing right wing back as well. And I've not seen him all season. They had Ryan Fraser kind of floating between left of a midfield three and then trying to get into advanced positions in a front three. That obviously got scrapped after the red card. Yeah, mess. And it's a shame actually because I think I kept kind of banging the drum saying actually you can see improvements in them defensively a little bit since the horrendous performance at Bournemouth. This one just, I mean, Lumley and goal is take your pick between him and McCarthy. I mean, let me sum up how bad them two are. Fraser Forster's better. Although
Ah,
I should,
wow.
I should probably acknowledge that Fraser Forster was Tottenham's best player again last night, but we'll
Was
get
he
there in
really?
a bit.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Um, Southampton, I do have a Southampton player massively on radar though, because one of the suspensions this week was Tyler Diblin. And I still think that's the one to go to if you're going right deep in terms of cheap, eighth attacker. He's going to play the majority of the games. He'll be back in the team this week. The fact that he plays for Southampton never gives you huge temptation to want to play him. But actually, once you get this Villa fixture out the way, if you do need to rely on it, the fixtures afterwards of Tottenham at home, Fulham away, West Ham at home, Palace away, and Brentford at home are not bad at all if you do need to rely on it because it's Christmas period coming, right? So Tyler Diblin, if I deem I need to find money, is potentially on radar for me. For Chelsea, and Nkunku won't play on Sunday, so it would have been a one-off. Jackson will obviously come back on the team. in the team. It does seem a bit weird in hindsight. I'm not saying you should intentionally get booked or anything, but it does seem like could you have had a word and just give someone a shirt? If the intention wasn't to play him, could you just give someone a little shirt pull or
I don't
something?
know.
Or
Like,
it's not in the spirit, but you should probably use a little bit of intelligence then. If the intention was not to play him against Southampton,
what was the it depends on the game state in the previous game. I can't actually remember because
and
that's all.
unless Maresca, this is something I thought about. Unless Maresca was so focused on, and I can get this, they had Heidenheim Thursday, Villa Sunday. He sat down and like watched some tapes on Monday of Southampton and gone, yeah, do you know what? I'm not even going to play my goalkeeper. Actually, I'm that confident. That's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I feel like that is something where I'd be surprised if we ever saw a Premier League manager saying like, yeah, intentionally go and get a yellow
Of
regardless
course,
of the
no one's going to say it
circumstances.
out loud. We don't have to, right? If you just pull someone's shirt when they run away from you, you're going to get booked, aren't you? You don't have to hurt the opponent.
No,
And
no, of course.
let's not pretend that people haven't got booked in certain games to miss certain games.
100%. I think Mourinho's Real Madrid team, there was like the famous quote of him
And it's
saying that,
not it's not like that, we're not talking about kind of the Pacatar thing here. We're just saying you're going to you're choosing your game you get suspended for.
yeah.
Is the reality here.
On that, you touched on it with the keeper. Do you think is that just a one-off thing? Is that a concern? Because I was actually looking at can I find a way to get a Chelsea keeper in Sanchez, but I don't know if I should be put off by that now.
No, I think it was a complete one off,
Okay.
but I guess we can't rule out that it could never happen again. Would be the point, wouldn't it?
So for any silly fantasy football managers out there who have somehow got double West Ham goalkeepers, who should they sell to go and get Sanchez? Should probably be would it be Areola or
Well, if
Fabianski?
you're selling one of the two West Ham,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
got to be Areola, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would still consider Sanchez. I think it was probably a one-off, but there will be little things like, maybe Ipswich away in 19. Could Jorgensen play? Well, yeah, maybe. And Fabianski's got Liverpool at home that day, and he might be out the team by then as well. You have to factor with the West Ham guys as well, mate. Mate, I don't know why I went all
Yeah.
Ange there. It was a bit Ange, sorry. I still love the man inside. Um, got a new manager might come in and might prefer Areola, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
There's
that is
every
true.
chance that would happen.
Yeah,
So
one that I think I'll probably, yeah, if I'm in the luxury position where I can make a keeper transfer, I'll probably still go for it, to be honest. But
I
check.
think this week, arguably, despite obvious Tottenham concerns, you probably would pick Fabianski over Sanchez this week, I think.
Who have West Ham got again?
Wolves at home Monday
Oh,
night.
yeah, of course, Monday, yeah.
You probably would. Then afterwards, it's just Sanchez, I think,
Yeah.
because
Uh,
Chelsea's fixtures have been then great for a while. So, yeah, I would still say Sanchez. Levi Colwill will also definitely come back in the team. But that was a big surprise. I think when the team came out and we saw what Chelsea had done defensively, they went, I thought that's a bit brave.
it's very
Because
brave, yeah.
with the way they're obviously energetic at the top end and want to press, they gave Liverpool trouble, right? Van Dijk and Konate didn't play well at Southampton. So I did think, well, have you gone a bit over the top there? But no,
I
didn't
think
matter.
he's managing the squad so well. Like you just rewind to the general narrative around Chelsea in the summer and the kind of crisis club and the circus and this and that. Like that, it's such a distant memory from where they are now. And like I know Maresca's been quite calm and grounded and level-headed in terms of the title talk, but look at the fixtures up till they play Man City in game week 23. Like they could absolutely go on a steaming run here and
Yeah,
put themselves in a position
they've
where
got a
if
chance.
a Liverpool, City, Arsenal fall off, all they can do is put themselves in the position to potentially capitalize, right? And I think, like you said, though, I think their squad's stronger than Liverpool as well. I
And
think they're doing amazing.
also, I'm sure it would change once you get right to the end of it, but they really could win that Conference League with the second team.
Yep.
I'm sure once you hit a semi-final or something, you'll be like, I'm going to play Palmer and stuff like that. But it's not going to be to whatever Arsenal and Liverpool have to go through in the Champions League. So there's that for them on the running. Their running is tougher, but their fixtures basically up until game week 29, when they're due to play Arsenal, but that's also the Carabao Cup final. They've got City away, as you said. That's game week 23.
Correct.
Tottenham away, obviously, this weekend, which in terms of timing of playing my team is obviously is a good time. They've got to go to Villa and they go to Brighton.
Yeah,
That's all they've got over that period up to game week 29 in terms of, say, expected top nine. And the home fixtures are like a dream in that as well. So, yes, they do have a chance. And I completely understand Chelsea fans probably keep downplaying it at the moment. But if you said to me right now, who's more likely to win the title, Chelsea or Man City, I'll tell you honestly, it's Chelsea.
yeah, I would agree with that. Anything more that you want to cover on that
Yeah,
game before
just
we move on?
on Enzo Fernandez, he's 4 games in a row he's returned now. He's obviously cheap as 4.9 or something. You look at it and you think, that's kind of ideal. There's two things to say. One, could be rotated at any point because I think I would expect, for example, Lavia and Casado to play at Tottenham together centrally. So I think there's every chance Fernandez might not start at Tottenham. Now they might also deem what's going on at Tottenham that maybe they can get away with it. I don't think it's impossible that Casado would play like inverted from right back again, and that might be a way of obviously continuing to get Fernandez in the team. They push Casado in possession and move Fernandez alongside Palmer. And once you got him in that zone, that's very interesting because you're putting him in possession in arguably not quite as high as Palmer, but in really advanced positions, and he's 6 odd million cheaper. The problem is, for me, Jackson right now might be the best value forward in the game.
Agree.
Could be. There's a debate to be had about that. Palmer, you want, so it leaves only one spot.
And you'd probably want one of the defenders or the keeper, right?
It's not even that you want necessarily, because I think even Chelsea fans would say to you, if I said to a Chelsea fan, what do you think the score will be at the weekend? And they'll be confident, understandably so. But I bet not many of them will go 2-0.
No,
They'll go
not
like
this
3-1 or
weekend, but
2-1 or
with
4-1 or something like that.
yeah, but with the fixtures coming up, there will be clean sheets in there.
But exactly, the point being would be don't cut yourself off of it because you may deem that any point you've spoken about Sanchez, I've spoken about Levi Colwell. I think there is a desire to think I may want something Chelsea defensively. I would not be getting Enzo Fernandez to cut myself off of it. And I definitely wouldn't be getting Enzo Fernandez in and cutting myself off of Palmer or Jackson.
Yep, I'm in
So
agreement
I
with that.
think, like, if you played for a different team, he'd be really interesting right
Stick him in
now.
your draft team if you play that format.
Yeah, great shout. Yeah, great shout.
I think another player who's good for draft format is Declan Rice. And he's on the corners, and Arsenal beat Man United with another two set pieces, 2-0. How in depth do you want to go on this? Because I know Adam obviously spoke about it on Clash of the Correspondents.
Oh, would this just end the podcast? That'd be great. Go on. It's going down. I'm yelling.
Timber. Oh,
Well done.
I had to do it. Yeah,
Um,
game of two halves, I think. First half was
Tottenham's going down. I'm yelling something else other than Timber at the moment.
Yeah, first half was. I'll do the two perspectives. From an Arsenal perspective, a tough watch. And then from the Man United perspective, they were structurally really impressive in my opinion. I think what they did in terms of nullifying Arsenal's access to get Odegaard on the ball, Saka, play through that kind of dominant right-hand half space that Arsenal love to prioritize. I think Man United were fantastic at limiting access into those zones. Um, Offensively, Man United, while they structurally looked impressive, I didn't think they looked like they were ever going to really do much, but that's fine. It's building blocks, right? He's only had two, 3 games with them. But yeah, I must emphasize because I feel like this may get lost in the analysis. I thought Man United structurally were incredibly impressive in the first half. And then, yeah, obviously the game swings a little bit with set pieces. Diallo came on for Malacia. I think that's probably an element of Malacia's first game back. But Diallo gave Zinchenko some nightmares.
It's a good player, Diallo.
Very good player. And I do think there was an intentional shift from Arsenal even before the first set piece goal, where I myself felt a little bit more comfortable in terms of what I was watching. Like in the first half, like certain individuals were absolutely awful on the ball. And I did see a noticeable shift before that set piece came. Timber scores the first goal in the 54th minute, and then I think the momentum shifts entirely, to be honest. And I know on the face of it, it's two set pieces, but as the game finished, I don't know, I was getting to the point where I think this could be 3 or 4 in the end, just in the sense of like the game opened up a bit more. But from a Man United perspective, I'd be encouraged. I think there's some encouraging signs there from what he did structurally. It's not gonna be an overnight shift, and I think the biggest compliment I can pay is under Ten Hag. I don't think structure was a word, and I saw that in the first half, and I was impressed.
Yeah, we knew this kind of almost before game one against Ipswich that like straight away you would see an identity in Ruben Amorim's team, whether you liked it, you didn't like, you'd go, this is what they're trying to do, and you'll be able to see it straight away, and you can. I think he was really disappointed. Camera panned to him at one point in the second half. You could see he was kind of head in hands, and I think it was frustration. This was a free hit for United. I said that before the game. I watched all of the first half hour. And I thought United were really good. I thought United were really good because exactly what you said, structure, and they were kind of not under any duress. I saw the team with Fernandes playing a central midfield role and thought, I probably wouldn't have done that
I was
myself.
licking my lips before the
But
game when I
yeah,
saw it.
but
Yeah,
actually, it gave them better control in midfield. I think you were kind of caught between a little bit of a rock and a hard place of not knowing whether to go and press and be aggressive early. Also, a little bit of kind of working out what the opponent's doing because we hadn't seen United yet in this system against a strong opponent. So I think there was a lot of kind of feeling each other, not literally, at the start of the game. And I thought United controlled really well. I could see in Bruno his brain working. And what I mean by that is, after the Ipswich game, he spoke about not wanting to play Fernandes there because he wants to be Hollywood. I could see Bruno resisting so much to
yeah,
not be Hollywood and just keeping the ball and recycling and being what he is, which is a brilliant football player and kind of conducting. And I thought he played really well. I thought Ugarte complemented that well. They looked structured well. They weren't hurting you in any way. But I think you'd look at that first half hour and go, well, when you go somewhere like that, what do you want to do? We don't want to go behind early and
of course,
uphill
yeah.
battle. They'd put themselves in a position where I think at half time we could have thought there might become a period here with fast players, people like Rashford coming off the bench and stuff. Could you have a go if it stayed 0-0 and you would have got a bit more desperate? He never got to that stage. But I don't think United fans should look at that and be, well, we didn't create anything, or he's playing against the best defence in the league. I think there were some encouraging signs there for United.
Yeah,
Not
agree.
anything specifically encouraging for fantasy because a load more rotation again. And Fernandes' position there would spook you.
Yeah, but like you say,
Now,
is that a one-off?
don't
Like
know.
maybe could we see it against
We
City in a few weeks?
we don't know. We generally don't know. Not that Fernandez can't return from that position. He certainly can. He'd still be on the pens and set plays and stuff like that. But you don't want that if he's going to play there. You want him playing higher and being the one that arrives in the box and being right at the top end of things. So I feel like that's a no go at the moment. He needs monitoring very closely though, because I think ultimately, if he is going to find a position behind the front man, then he should be interesting at his valuation as someone who could become a talisman for United. All the rest, Hoyland, Rashford, Garnacho, and all that. Amrim's told us. We spoke about this on Monday. He's told you he's going to rotate. He's going to look at all of them.
Yeah,
So to look at the team now for Saturday against Forest and tell you which one of them play, you got Xerxes in that conversation as well. Ain't got a clue.
me either.
Diallo is similar conversation to Fernandez. You're very unlikely to end up with three Manchester United. So it almost feels like a safer buy, but I don't know from game to game how much he's going to play. I don't know.
No, they're too much of an unknown for me at this stage.
There's so many different things that they could kind of do. So Maxwell, they changed the centre back composition where Maguire came in and played right sided, central. The Lit moved to right sided centre back, and I thought, oh, that's a big problem if he gets drawn out, but largely did okay, I
Yeah, he
thought.
did.
And then moved Maxwell to left sided centre back, who'd been playing right sided centre back. The United player I'm closest to buying, and I would buy him right now if I knew he would play this weekend, is
Uh,
Joro.
oh, really? Okay.
He's 4.3.
Yeah, but just returning from a long-term
I
injury like that
know.
is, yeah, I
I
don't know.
really want someone for this week. And it's like, if he's going to play against Forest, I right fancy that.
I think they'll manage his load very carefully, personally.
I agree. And from a centre back position,
They're stacked.
they don't need to force that. I mean, you've also got, I say the stat, Lindelof and Evans are both injured. Lindelof is maybe a threat. Johnny Evans is not really going to work in this structure.
He
Maguire's
might,
back.
as part of a central back three, possibly.
I think Euro is one really to watch. I think he's obviously now come on during this game. 4.3 if or when he locks that down, and there is a position where you can come back to this. So I think if he started against Forest, and then started against City, and then there's fixtures afterwards. You can go 4.3 and obviously rotate at that. I know it's a no frills, but in that system, they will keep more clean sheets. That's a
Yeah,
definitive,
I agree.
definitely. There'll be times you want to play it, there'll be times you won't. I think they'll still have some surprise results in the sense there'll be games you expect them to win and they'll let you down. I think. But I think that was largely more positive for United than negative. Euro is on radar. I don't think I can buy him this week. If Amram came out today and said he's going to start tomorrow, I think I buy him
All right.
as a long term. Yeah, fuck it. I think so. Otherwise, I feel like United are avoidable at the moment with a watchful eye on Fernandez. For Arsenal, um, I guess you probably saw no Gabriel and no Calafiori and went, oh,
It was that combined with, oh, it's Zinchenko and Kivior as well. Like, oh, not
well, what
sure
would you have
about that.
expected that to be then?
Yeah, no, that, but more, I don't think I deeped how it made me feel until I saw their names in the 11. Like, ah, okay.
They both played well.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I think they did, to be honest. Coped with it well. And yeah, I think the news on Gabriel was a tricky one. Like, Arteta basically said that he had something against West Ham. He didn't specifically reference if it was concussion or related to his previous injury, which,
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, the previous,
oh, okay, yeah. So
or at least
that,
not concussion. No,
yeah, no, because I wasn't sure if it was to do with when he got punched, well, half punched by
no,
Fabianski.
I don't think so. And I think well, I don't factually know, but I think he would possibly have to declare that. I don't know.
That's what I thought as
Actually,
well.
I'm not sure.
But anyway, Arteta basically said it was too much of a risk to play midweek against Man United, but against Fulham, he and Calafiori have a chance. So I think Gabriel will be back in. Personally, we're probably not going to get definitive concrete news, but I think with
We're
the
probably not. You melt. Yeah, he's starting. He's not going to tell you shit,
we're
mate.
not okay. We're not going to get definitive concrete news, but I just think with those fixtures, it's not worth the gamble to move it. Like keep it for Fulham away, and then if there's a longer term problem, you'll probably know, and then move it on accordingly.
Yeah, it might act as a little bit of a concern, though, for forthcoming games. If there's an ongoing problem, you look at things like maybe Everton at home's a bad example actually because of their threat from set plays themselves and stuff. But you'd look at sort of games like that and think, can you get away with not playing him? And the answer would be yes. That also exists for Timber, I think.
Yeah.
We have to remember that the fellow had an ACL injury.
So
And
on
Arteta
him,
has spoke about caution with him. It's not to put anybody off buying him at all, because I keep telling people buy him, but I don't think you could say he'll definitely play every game this month.
well, that's it. And but then the flip side is I look at it, and it's what Adam was saying on Clash of the Correspondents. Like the only real option we can do without Tomiyasu and without Ben White at the minute is Party at right back, and I,
But you could
I
do that,
we could, and I'm just
particularly
looking at
against an opponent like Everton. I
that's where
mean,
I'm thinking, like, is it going to happen in a game where, ironically, you want a Timber to be playing because the likelihood of the clean sheet is higher in those possible games like Everton? But I don't know, could it happen in Monaco in the Champions League? There's the EFL Cup
yeah.
game in there against Palace. So like you just said, like, it's not to put anyone off, but I would not be surprised at all if there is one game where Timber gets a breather, just like you say, given his load management and returning from a previous injury. As an Arsenal fan, I'm concerned about his minutes at the minute. I think he's playing a lot.
Best Arsenal free if you're on wildcard.
Ooh, I think I'd go double defense. I think Saka's the kind of first in, no-brainer.
He's shit.
Then it's Gabriel and yeah, probably Timber, to be fair. I have some. I just think there's other nice forward options, and I don't know. I haven't got the statistics to check, but I feel like he's not getting consistent volume of high chances. Like yeah, it did ironically have a one-on-one in that game where he could have done better,
Didn't
but
think he was
yeah,
going to score.
no, I didn't. Um, so yeah, I'd go Timber, Gabriel, Saka for me personally. I think even keepers like I just think yeah, again what you said on COTC, like Timber can do what Raya can't, right? That's kind of the
Yeah,
difference.
it's exactly that. I mean, Raya needs the penalty save and the clean sheet to obviously hit that sort of hole. I agree. Same three for me. Although it's worth saying, Adam suggested he'd still Raya over Timber.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah.
So I think, like for me, I'm on Raya, Gabriel, Saka. Is there enough reason for me to piss about with that?
Nah,
No, you're on what? Timber, Saka, and
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Yeah.
Same thing. You know, I mean, I think that's probably the best choice at the moment. It might be that Raya counters it where one game Timber don't play, you keep clean sheet, and he kind of keeps up with from that perspective. But he does look a big threat, Timber, from set plays and open play,
Yeah, yeah,
actually, as well. We saw
yeah,
that
really
straight
good.
away based in the Forest game, didn't we?
Yeah,
It looked a
exactly.
real threat from
That
open.
triangle on the right hand side. I think especially in games where the opposition maybe aren't as structurally what's the word I'm looking for? Strict as Man United, or as competent in the execution. I think that that trio on the right will have a lot of joy.
If people do want to go double offensive, Odegaard or Havertz?
I think slightly Havertz. I've always been one of these. Even though Odegaard had that year where he scored like 15, 16 goals, I do look at him as more like a David Silva type FPL player where he's more of a facilitator rather than the output machine. I don't know. I'd slightly nod for Havertz if you were going double offensive.
Yeah, I think the answer to that probably lies in though that there's actually, ironically, probably some more interesting forwards at similar price to Havertz at the moment from other teams, actually.
Yeah, and that segues nicely into Aston Villa 3, Brentford 1. You've been earmarking game week 15 for a while as a potential Ollie Watkins captaincy shout, and I know we spoke a few minutes ago about why it should be Salah, but he's got his pen. I think he got an assist in there for Rodgers, you said. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's I guess some would say he's in form on the back of one
I
one
mean,
game.
Flecken will be really disappointed he's not saved the pen.
I've not seen it to be
He's
fair.
got his hand to it and it's kind of spun underneath it. This is why Watkins has not been on pens because not great at them. But he's on them now, and that does add to the appeal. Although you do know inevitably there's a 0 pointer in there. I think at some point when he's going to miss one, it does feel like that. If you own Ollie Watkins like Suj does, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people listening or watching do, there will be a little bit of a temptation. I do personally feel that it falls back into the line of I need a really good reason to go against Salah, and I don't have enough here. Southampton will have Harwood Bellis back. Obviously, Stevens is suspended. They may have Bednarek back. So the composition of Southampton's backline, they might even change the goalkeeper back. Not that that'll make a difference. The composition of the backline might look quite different to the Chelsea game. There will be some fatigued legs though as well. Having played 10 men for so long in that game, yeah, there'd be a temptation if you own Watkins, but there isn't enough temptation for me to buy him.
No,
I
no,
don't
me
think
either.
there would be. I mean, you could. I think prior you could have looked at this fixture and gone, yeah, I could skip Jackson against Tottenham and go there. Jackson could easily outscore Watkins this weekend. You don't want to move Isak now if you stayed there. If you had Havertz, would you consider it? Maybe. If you got Solanke, that's probably maybe too far to go from Solanke to Watkins. If I could go something like Solanke to Watkins this way, I'd really consider it, definitely. And maybe even from Havertz to then reshape to maybe go double Arsenal defence the following week or something like that. But yeah, I think for most people, Watkins it just won't work. For those who are on there, yeah, it's probably captain. As I said, he came off with what half hour to go, basically.
Yep.
So great. He's got you a haul and you've had the break. The big concern over these two games was I thought there was a good chance he wouldn't play one. It looks like there's no reason to think with him replaced half hour to go that he won't start against Southampton at the weekend. It almost feel weird now if he didn't.
Is the thing with him though, like he obviously went off with half hour to go yesterday, but is that just going to be a consistent thing with Duranda? Like he's not
What's
going
the
to get many
concern?
90 minutes, is he?
Well, it's
Surely.
worth saying Duran's goals from the bench have dried up.
Yeah, but just more like Duran's not going to just sit there and not play at all, is he?
No, but I would say now there's every chance that Duran starts in Leipzig on Tuesday.
Fair.
I wonder if there's a little element as well. They'd obviously gone on that kind of big run without winning 8 games across all comps, and they were much livelier and faster. I do think the way Brentford played, as I mentioned earlier, really plays into their hands. Brentford want to go aggressive and be man to man. It's a very brave way to play, and obviously has huge benefits if you can get it right. But ultimately, you are going man to man with largely inferior players
Yeah.
against a team like Villa, and Villa have good dynamic players like Rodgers who are good at carrying the ball. Watkins loves if he can see space, that's great. Play him in.
They've got the balance of athletes as well as technicians, I think, which works nicely.
Yeah,
Villa, that is.
Rodgers. I think the advice for most people, and again, it depends what other players you've got, but I think with the opponent, that's probably got to be played this week. I think there's a lot of us who benched him this week. Most of us have ended up with those points anyway. I do think there's a case to say that he might be expendable after this game week. So I wouldn't be investing in there, no. I only say that in the sense of maybe wanting to find some more money. So, like I said, for me, considering something like Rogers to Dibbling, because moving forward, if I do get a higher price ticket, like a Johnson up or more, then I'm probably not picking Rogers over that player. So then it's what he's literally sitting first sub, and that's kind of it's great. It's a great first sub, but I might need the 0.6 or the 0.7 from somewhere else. This week, for most people playing that opponent, if you've got offensive players playing Southampton, you've got to play them basically. I
Yeah.
think so. Majority of cases play Watkins captain ball. I still wouldn't be looking at them defensively. You've seen they've still conceded another a goal here, and I think they
Uh,
will continue to concede in odds. Emery spoke about the idea of playing Mings and Torres potentially going forward, which I guess if that did happen would mean Consa moving to right back because Desmond Consa's not going to come out of the team. He only spoke about it being a possibility, and we have seen that before Mings had the terrible injury on the opening day at Newcastle last season that they could do that.
It's
Mings
interesting. Sorry,
Mings
go on.
brings some power back into that team. I spoke about that recently, missing power.
Yeah. It's interesting you say about the Villa defensive because I have seen a few people on our Slack and on Twitter asking about Villa defensive options coming up.
Ask the Villa fan.
Well, and they're just, I can't
They're
remember
just going
what
to tell
Lee's
you no. I'm
response
telling
was to
you.
me. No.
In fact, I'll go one better. Go and read our Aston Villa correspondent. You can do this right now, Clayton. Go and read our Aston Villa correspondent, Lee Jackson. Go and read his bio on Twitter.
I think I saw this
Go
actually.
on.
Give me 2 seconds. It
One,
is
two.
Villa correspondent for Planet FPL. Shout out to his fiance, Hen, as well. Then, trademarked. Don't buy Villa defenders.
Sick of being asked,
Nicely done, Lee.
basically. So there you go. It's the Villa correspondent's put it in his own bio, just literally telling you all for you all to see. Don't bother. That said, have I looked at it? Yeah, because I want a defender for this week, and they've got Southampton. So you do think, could be. I'll pick the one though that don't bloody play. I thought I'll
Yeah,
go
probably.
Conser and he don't play this week because they're rotating. So yeah, I think that's an avoid. Rogers a good asset going forward. You're not looking at any of the others. Important victory for them. They obviously played a lot better. I think Brentford really played into their hands. They may well play into Newcastle's hands this weekend as well. Boomer owners, Visser owners. I think it's probably largely keep this one in most cases, but there is too much stuff in game week 16 that you want to target. I think specifically for people who've still got the likes of Bryan Mbeumo, if you can roll a transfer this week, that is going to do you a massive favour. The big reason that's going to do you a massive favour is I keep hearing the same thing from Boomer owners. Where do I go?
I was just going to ask you because I'm in that, but I don't know. I was looking at Bournemouth. I think I heard you talk about Clivert the other day on a pod. I was like, oh, don't mind that.
We'll talk about him in a sec. Boomer owners probably, yeah, you can do it that way. You can go down to your Rogers, your Kluivert, Semenyas, whatever, come down to Dibbling. But that's what I think. It might even be something like that, where your replacement for Boomo might become someone like Trent,
Sure.
because you're looking at it and you're going, I'm not sure about Bowen, or I'm not sure, Jota's not fit yet. I think that ideally, if he'd been fit, Jota would be the one. Eze would be another one, but it's like, oh, City this week doesn't feel right. Fixtures aren't quite there yet for Palace, although they do come. But by that point, you've maybe feel like you've held Bruno too long. So I think the right solution would be it's Newcastle at home this week. He's still on pens and some set plays and stuff. That's fine because Newcastle can be wank away from home every now and again. And they may be well fatigued from the effort that they put in on Wednesday night. So largely keep him and know that if you've got two free transfers next week, you are opening yourself up to more options. That could be that you go, I'm going to go Raul Jimenez to Jackson, for example. Not that I'm saying you wouldn't do those sort of moves now, but do I think, for example, that's worth a -4 now? Probably not. If you can make that sort of transition move for the two threes next week, I think that's the solution for a lot of Boomo owners. Is largely hold this week. If you are going to move specifically this week, based on what we saw on Tuesday night, the King Power, and based on what we saw at Goodison on Wednesday night, it's probably Bowen.
Okay.
But I just think just hold Boomo this week if
Yeah, I
you've
like
got.
what you say. Just roll this week, give yourself information with one extra week, two frees, and then take it from there.
Yeah, I think that'd be the solution. Vista owners will beginning to look away. That's more you got João Pedro in your eye line and stuff like that. You feel like you want to go to.
Lovely stuff. On to the
Te-
Thursday games, listeners.
Was that the game's done? No.
No, no,
I don't know what
listeners.
legit I had a moment. I was like, oh, have we done all the games? No, we
No, you
haven't.
can't escape the misery. I'm afraid, James. You're with an Arsenal fan. So, listeners, bear with. I think in a few minutes' time, you're going to get your James rant that you want. But before that, Fulham 3, Brighton 1. Verbruggen, mate, what are you doing for the first goal?
We see this sort of goal quite a lot now, don't we? So it's
Saw
the
it in
Brighton
the
error that's
Chelsea game,
happened.
actually. Yeah.
It's the Brighton error that's happened this time. We saw a very similar goal Southampton conceded, which actually ended up in Kunku's goal. So yeah, our teams want to play. In fact, Tottenham basically conceded the same goal yesterday as well, which was disallowed with Evan Nilsson being offside. So it's not something we're not seeing teams do. If you can press out from the goalkeeper's pass, you're in on goal. You think about it, goalkeeper plays out, centre back split and all that. You play into that zone there. That's why you cannot have central midfield players to receive in that area are not comfortable with it. So on the Tottenham one yesterday, it's Kudasevsky ends up coming towards the ball. Right now, he's actually a sort of player. He can spin and hold off people, yeah, but he's not. He's not arm off, and I'm going to hold in the sixth position and do that sort of thing, and it gets turned over. So your six is so important. This is why probably Basuma can't play at centre back for Tottenham on Saturday, which is one maybe solution, but then it just cocks up the sixth position. I didn't see a lot of this.
I watched the first half.
I watched
Oh,
the first half. I did the same.
mate,
Wished I wished
45 minutes. I'll never
wished
get
I'd
back.
watched all of it.
Flipping hell.
It wasn't great, was it?
No, it was awful.
Mind you,
The first,
Bournemouth Tottenham wasn't a thriller either.
I think it was a weird start to the game because I don't know if you've got this as well. Like obviously Iwobi scored really early on, but even before that, it felt like there was lots of sloppy passes from both teams, like passes not completing. Like I don't know if there was torrential rain, right? I don't know, like the ball just wasn't moving that slick. Like it was kind of slowing down as it was going, and yeah, it was just if the first half was just it was crap, honestly.
I think there was a lot of working each other out here as well because Brighton had looked like they kind of changed system to more of a kind of a back three shape with basically a Dinger and his Stupinan as wing backs. Van Heck moving into sort of right back slash right sided centre back positions. I wouldn't be getting too excited about it. Stupinan wing back. Yeah, he's still got Mitoma in front of him. I think in the midfield area, the composition wasn't quite right for Brighton here. Like Baleba coming back in and scored has been a miss for them. But I do think they're missing Hinshelwood or someone else in there that's a bit more stable for Baleba. When you and I looked at Mats Vifa in the summer, what we'd highlighted on him was he was a good ball winner. But I think with Brighton, they'd have probably been better off in this one playing O'Reilly deeper and playing another attacker ahead of that.
Yeah, agree.
Hindsight. So I felt like the composition wasn't quite right, but I think probably there was a moment really early in the game. You might remember if Calvin Bassey went over to Marco Silva, and I think it was that. It was after about 2, 3 minutes. It was like, what's going on here? So I think there probably was like again a lot of let's check each other out and what's happening. Then Fulham score, and they're not a sort of team you want to go behind against. I'm not surprised that they won this. They're a good side. They would be third on expected points. They have a manager who knows how to set them up. As we said earlier, Lewis called the team absolutely spot on. If he's called it right again, and he might have changed his mind since the game last night, he thinks Jimenez will play against you. That was his fault
Yeah, that
pre-game.
was prior to the game.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure he will think that Kene Tete would come back into the team as well. A few people have been asking about Joachim Anderson. I think it's a couple of weeks away. It would maybe be ideal if he was back for game week 17, but
Wow.
he probably will be 4.0
Yeah, I've got
as and
him
when that happens.
plonked last on my bench. I kind of
Yeah,
need him for that game.
yeah, don't sell it. Sasa Lukic be back from a ban against yourselves as well, and he'll come back into the team. So that might mean Iwobi goes back into a wider area. And I'm pretty sure as well when we pushed Lewis on saying Iwobi versus Smith Rowe, Iwobi was the call that he gave on that as well.
Yeah, smashed it. I mean,
And I
yeah,
don't like it, but well done.
no, yeah, me either. I mean, it must say like on the goals, one was obviously a great finish for the second, and the first is from a mistake, right, as opposed to kind of clear chances per se.
His second goal's lovely.
Yeah, yeah, great finish.
Slightly controversial Anthony Robinson assist, it should be said.
I can't remember it to be honest. I
When
remember the
he
finish.
played
I
it
can't
into
remember.
Iwobi, and Iwobi got kind of half tackled.
Yes.
I remember a goal Christian Eriksen scored for Tottenham against Bournemouth at Wembley, where someone had passed to him, and Eriksen received the ball, and it was like almost like a kind of a double tackle, and Eriksen ran for it and scored.
Was there
and
an
the
assist?
assist wasn't given, and this was
Okay.
very similar. So, but it'll go down. I think Opta gave it, so fair enough. Is what it is. Anthony Robinson owners can rejoice at that, and he continues to tick over fine. If you have him as per COTC yesterday, you're probably looking to rotate him over the next couple, which would be understandable. But probably hold on if you've got value involved. For the rest of us, I think Joachim Anderson should not be far from my mind. If you've got Jimenez like you do, Clates, I think you're looking to move that on.
Yeah, I think so. Like
Have you got João Pedro?
I do, yes.
Yeah, because that's
I've got
the
him.
obvious one. He's obviously got an assist last night, not the sort of assist you'd probably looking for because it's obviously for a long range
To
strike.
be honest, my mind is on what you said before. Can I look at moving a Bumo to a Jackson or something? Like I've got Jimenez there. Like, can I try facilitate that somehow? So that's where my mind's at right now.
Yeah, I would not be chasing Alex Iwobi's points here with Arsenal, Liverpool next, and then even with the Southampton games, Chelsea away afterwards. I wouldn't be looking at Fulham till unless I could use it as a rotable. You could use Iwobi in that way, I guess. But surely you're not going like Mbeumo to Iwobi now or something, are you?
No, not now.
Nah,
But yeah,
nah.
big result for Fulham. You obviously touched on it on COTC, but takes them up to sixth. Brighton are, despite the defeat, still in fifth. But Brighton have a nice run coming up, and yeah, I think there's people like myself on Matoma and Pedro. I think there's some people on one of them debating to whether to go for the double up. What would you advise people at the minute?
Yeah, you're sticking it out at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah,
Van Heck getting a fourth yellow is not helpful because I suspect he probably won't make it till the end of this period without getting another one, possibly. Apparently, I didn't see it because I was watching Spurs, but apparently, when he was taken off, he wasn't happy.
okay.
And obviously, the threat does lie that Dunk obviously has come back in the team yesterday. I think Van Heck is good enough that he's their best choice now. But then he's kind of been the one recently that's kind of got shunted to sort of like right back, right sided centre back. Joel Veltman has been absent the last couple though, and he was kind of touch and go whether he was going to make this one. If he's back for the weekend, that might make the difference. Where it's like, okay, it's Veltman back at right back. Don't think he particularly wants to play Tarek Lamptey there, and then it's Van Heck back in the right sided, and then it's Dunk versus Julio. I think the balance is better for them when Julio plays. I've been quite clear on that. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's Van Heck and Dunk played together. It's not like Dunk can't play left-sided centre back. He's done it more than enough times for Brian. So I think investing in them now needs an extra game of information because I'm looking for centre back this week, and that's the first thing you think.
Yeah.
Oh, Leicester away, that'll do. And it's not like Brighton don't have more good fixtures coming up. I'm looking at it now and going, I could buy Van Heck this week, and it's Duncan Julio, and that sticks
Would you
for a
not just go
while.
Dunk?
No, because I think it could easily be that. I think any one of them three centre backs could get left out this weekend. Also, factor in Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah, true.
And we have to, for Fulham, Brighton, and the two teams we're about to talk about. If you think about Fulham, obviously playing yourselves, all their opponents have got an extra day's rest this week. And in the case of Brighton and Bournemouth, their opponents have got an extra 2 days on them. I realise it's Leicester and Ipswich respectively, but that sort of shit
It makes a
matters.
difference, yeah, big
I
time.
wouldn't be surprised if Brighton and or Bournemouth drop points this weekend.
Yeah, no, it makes a big difference. Yeah. Sports science side of things, yeah. I think 2 extra days when the congestion is so much at the minute, yeah, I think that's huge.
Danny Welbeck missed out. Minor issue is the word. But Danny Welbeck's had a number of minor issues over the years. Again, you're probably not going to get a confirmed he'll be okay for Sunday. What do you do if you own? Do you just go and buy João Pedro?
Probably, yeah. I think, yeah, it's probably it sounds harsh saying that's the excuse you needed because Welbeck was doing well. Yeah, I think I probably would just go and do that.
João Pedro will be better off with some of his other cooks back in this team. I like them with that line of four up top, even if it is Rutter playing sort of towards the right. João Pedro, ironically, I think will benefit more to Welbeck being back. I know a lot of people, oh, Pedro was the nine. Yeah, that's quite exciting. But Welbeck takes a lot of the pressure off to let the other guys around it play.
Yeah.
So Welbeck being back, I think actually would be good for João Pedro, even if he finds himself in a bit of a deeper position.
Ferguson came on. Could that be one where they played together?
It's a possibility, particularly over this period and particularly, say, on Sunday. But you'd have to look at that last night and think, well, Welbeck's absent. Why didn't Ferguson just play last night? Now, it might have been he's deemed he really wanted to shove the system specifically for
I was
something
just going to say he
against
wanted,
Fulham.
I think he
I
wanted
don't
the
think
extra
it's a
midfielder.
all Brighton are now in a back three. No, I don't think that at all. But you'd have to question that maybe. It's also believed that Ferguson is available for loan.
Yeah, I think Hertzler came out and kind of squashed that, to be honest, in a presser.
Did he?
Yeah, I'm sure I saw that.
I mean, I imagine everybody from sort of 14th, 15th downward would be looking at that thinking, I want to take that for 4
Oh,
months,
don't
surely.
deny that. Just more the narrative of him because it was like a Twitter rumor that came out saying he's been put up for loan, and then Hertzler came out in a press conference saying, "Yeah, I don't know where that came from."
I say surely, obviously not Crystal Palace, just for clarity, before Eagles fans come at me about taking a Seagulls player on loan. I think
Before we
that's
go
it,
on
mate.
to well,
Or
final
do we
one.
have to just go on? We've got something else?
Yeah, well, just the Andreas Pereira thing. Obviously, I heard Lewis talking about that
Ah,
situation.
yeah.
That he
Well,
got
and they scored from a corner, so he didn't get
yeah.
everything right, did he?
There was a there was a little bit of booing for him when he came on. So yeah, that's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of booing,
Lukic will come back into the team against you at the weekend, so he won't start anyway, I don't
yeah,
think.
but yeah. Speaking of booing, there was lots of booing at the Vitality, and it wasn't from the home team. Bournemouth won, Tottenham nil. I had this on, but I was doing some work, so it was kind of on in the background, and it looked like a battering in periods, to be honest. And then saw the aftermath from the away end.
It was at the
Take it
end.
away, man.
I mean, Bournemouth thoroughly deserved to win, completely unquestionable. And in the last 25 minutes or so, I mean, how they've not scored in that period is.
That period was relentless. It felt like, if I could use a boxing analogy, just they had you on the ropes. It was jab, jab, hook, bang. Like it was
And you
honestly
had to hope that
relentless.
Tottenham could just throw one big punch, basically. And with
Yeah.
some of the personnel we've got, we're capable of doing that, but none of them on the night looked capable of doing that. We actually started well. I was really happy with our opening sort of 10 to 15 minutes or so because, as you know, and we've spoken about it so many times with them, they come out the blocks at you, particularly at home. We saw that against City, right? I mean, it could have been 2-3 up in 10 minutes against City. We controlled that period, no problem at all. Started well, had control of the game, was really pleased with that period. And actually, ironically, was quite pleased with the opening sort of 10 minutes of the second half was better as well. Other than that, it was a fucking disaster.
What
Another goal
changed then?
conceded from a set play. Well, the goal changes the game because I think then from Bournemouth's perspective, they were quite happy to sit in is harsh, but you were inviting Tottenham to expose so many of them chances that Bournemouth had in the last 25 minutes was winning the ball back in their own half. There was one or two like the disallowed goal, which was really high, and just springing quick in behind. And they've obviously got good ball carriers and quick players. So I think tactically spot on from Andoni Iraola, like Marco Silva, exceptional manager. It's no surprise with those two teams. The underlying numbers are good, etc., etc. Those two teams really should finish 10th and 11th this year. And the only reason it's 10th and 11th is because it's probably 9 teams with a little bit more power than them. But they are definitely, for me, the best outside the expected top eight. And we've got Brighton in there at the moment. We don't expect Bournemouth or Fulham particularly to break through that, despite I know Fulham are sixth at the moment. I think Bournemouth ninth, maybe.
Yeah, they are.
It would be some achievement if either of them could qualify for Europe, but they have exceptional managers. They always feel reliable in terms of they'll turn up for you. The Wolves game feels like a complete anomaly for Fulham. Bournemouth have had one or two ones like the defeat at Leicester. They've had the odd kind of disappointing away result, for example. Good side. Good
Very
side.
well
This was a
coached.
nightmare week for Tottenham with those two fixtures. Not that Tottenham shouldn't do well against Fulham Bournemouth. I told you Sunday would be a nightmare, and I told you we'd get beat last night. I'm not surprised. They're a good side, Bournemouth. In terms of their fantasy assets, just shout out for Hoyson, who played really well. And he's only 19-year-old boy. There's every chance he'll take over from Marcus Senesi moving forward. He was signed from Juventus. It's not like someone who's just come from nowhere. There was an investment within belief that he's going to become a first choice player.
I think it's even more impressive because, like I said, I had it on in the background and I saw him make a mistake that led to a Solanke chance quite early on. And
Yeah.
so for him to recover from that to, I think he got man of the match, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably rightly so, probably just about. They haven't scored and they kept a clean sheet. You could see that anyway. But yeah, it's solid enough. Zabani next to him is a good player. There'll be other clubs looking at him. Kirkez is the fantasy one to look at. It's pretty clear. Not sure if I want to buy a player with that haircut. It's kind of mullety, isn't it?
mate, I love you, but are you in a position to be criticizing it?
No. but just trying to take the conversation away from Tottenham as long as I can. I, from the fancy perspective, would probably, I guess, disappointed with Semenyo's performance.
Yeah, I saw.
He was quiet.
I was scanning the Twitter questions before this, and I saw someone saying something like zero shots or something,
He
and
had one, a kind of typical one, and it's the same with him all the time. He's come inside. This was about 20 minutes to go, and he levers it. Everything is levered.
no like
That's the only finish he's
composed
got.
finish. Yeah.
He levers it, and it isn't like say the goal against Southampton he scored, and others he's scored historically. If he strikes well and gets over the ball, he's got great power in his striking, but it is always power. He's never going to come in and give it the Robin finish and bend it into the far corner. He's coming in and he's hitting it. But he was just quite quiet. Everything seemed to really, in terms of their build and their best moments, came in the early stages, came through Cliver and Tavernier, particularly, really. And then in that last 20-minute period, I don't even want to know what Dango Utara's XGI was
Oh,
in that period.
I feel like every time I glanced at my TV screen, it
He
was
was
just
having
him
another shot.
missing it. Yeah.
And considering he came on as a substitute for the last 20 minutes or so, go on, have a look. Go on, look what his XGI was.
Yeah.
It's
Give
got
me
to be like madness.
keep talking. I'm gonna need a
Don't
couple
go and
minutes to
buy
get that.
Dango Utara. The problem with Kleiber is,
I've got it.
go on, what is it?
0.78 from 26 minutes. That's absurd. That's
To
on
be honest,
FOTMob's model.
I'm surprised it's not more than that based on what I watched. The problem with Clive is like he's come off against that 63, 64 minutes.
Yeah.
He played well. He was a bigger threat than Semenyo, but I've got an extra period of 20, 25 minutes out of Semenyo. Does that matter?
Who
I
takes
guess
their
as well, if they
pens?
do want to change the team, Semenyo's just had a break. Is Clive a certain starter at Ipswich? He's
Don't
probably
know.
not. Like you could easily bring like a Nutara or Brooks into the team and play. You could play Brooks as the 10, or you can move Tavernier into that position. You can even do what I said if Lewis Cook's back, move Christie into that position. Whereas I do think Semenyo, despite the fact he was quiet last night, there's not much doubt that he's going to play the
Exactly.
majority of games unless there is reason for rotation. I play Rodgers, I think, over him this week based on what I watched yesterday. Plus, my feeling that Ipswich games are going to be low scoring actually at the moment.
Yep.
And then there's the fatigue element of the turnaround of Thursday to Sunday, because there's no doubt that physically Bournemouth put a lot into that game last night, and they put a lot in always. So that because of that, they might well be someone. I wouldn't be shocked if they get beat on Sunday. It's just you're not used to it.
Yeah, 100%. It's why, to be
You're not
honest,
used to it.
yeah, it's why, like, even Arsenal Fulham, I think is going to be a really tough game for Arsenal, but I just think that extra day may be the difference where, yeah, they're not used to it, right? In terms of the Thursday to Sunday.
But also the difference with that is, and you might even get this with Tottenham a little bit on Sunday as well, the mentality of Arsenal for Fulham switches your mind. You can't go into that with, oh, it's Ipswich today. Can maybe just be kind of a couple of percent less.
Not at
You
all.
won't be against Arsenal. It's a mental thing. So you've just beat Tottenham, thoroughly deserved to do so. Oh, it's only Ipswich on Sunday. I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting Bournemouth players are going to down tools or
No, I know
whatever,
what you mean,
but
though.
they might struggle a little bit for legs a little bit more. Just because they don't normally do Thursday to Sunday. And Thursday to Sunday is bloody hell. Why is it hell? I don't know, but it's in everybody's minds, and Tottenham can't get away from it. There is no excuse for how tired they were last night, though, going Sunday to Thursday, because they didn't put much into the Sunday game that's just gone. They didn't put much into last night. And that's the real concern on last night, was just how slow everything was. Just so laboured on the ball. The amount of times we give the ball away. It's a knock-on effect, right? Of I kind of want you to take over and say everything that I told you on the Tottenham podcast we did on Patreon last Wednesday after we beat Manchester City, which is pretty much saying this is season defining and we should enjoy Saturday because now we're fucked. And
Yeah.
that's because of Vicario's injury. You cannot play the same way. Ask a Newcastle fan about the destabilization of losing your number one goalkeeper for a long period of time. Right? Dubravka probably wasn't terrible for Newcastle last season, but he wasn't Nick Pope. It destabilized how they wanted to play. Pope, believe it or not, go and look at data, is a really good sweeper keeper. Martin Dubravka's not. It impacted how Newcastle play football. Right. Vicario also is the same. He's a good sweeper goalkeeper. Forster is sweeping what? The road?
Well, you call him a tree, don't you? So,
And yet here's the thing where I feel he's been probably over the last two games our best player. So in terms of like the saves and stuff, I think he's doing absolutely fine. But the impact on how we play is ginormous.
Yeah, that's the irony is he's probably been the best player because Vicario is not there, which means you have less control, which means you're conceding more shots. He's just thrown his pen.
Hallelujah, Clayton. He fucking nailed it in one. Um, so if you want to get Fraser Forster at 4.3 million, you can, because he's probably going to get 3 and 4 pointers in most games because the amount of saves he's going to have to make. But, but one eventually is going to go in. I mean, the other impact to last night was obviously the Ben Davis injury is bad. Not as in
Uh,
like his career over. It's a hamstring injury. I mean, it was bad to what happened to the game. So he played Archie Gray over Porro, which as soon as I saw that, I was kind of head in hands because I don't understand. There's been other games to give Porro rest,
I was just
like
going to ask, yeah, why
Ipswich
then?
before the international break and stuff. He shouldn't have played after playing in Galatasaray on the Thursday. This was not. This was not the game.
Can
And
you
Archie
try?
is fine. He's competent. He's 18 years of age. People go, yeah, Bournemouth had a 19-year-old centre back. Yeah, 19-year-old centre back, not an 18-year-old midfielder who's been asked to play right back and then left-sided centre back. That Gray and Dragishin, if that's the centre back pairing on Sunday, you probably all should captain Palmer. I
Wow.
don't know if that's what it's going to be. Romero could be back.
How much of this then is like, so I, again, I'm an Arsenal fan, but if I can try remove my biases, just looking from the outside in, it looks like the fan base is split at the minute on the manager, or like certainly from the
They
clips
are
I
now,
saw
yeah.
in the away end. Like, how much of it is fair frustration with the manager versus you've just said you don't have a goalkeeper at the minute, you're without your first choice centre backs. Like, what's the split there in terms
Yeah,
of?
listen, I'm kind of a defender of Ange and I've not changed overnight where I'm like, sack him. No, not at all. But I certainly understand the anger and a lot of what's happened in particularly away games has been a lot on him. So last night seemed to go too far the other way. It's like you go to places like I spoke about, you go to Galatasaray and we want to like take quick goal kicks and stuff. Slow down in that environment. Yet last night, everything was just so slow, pedestrian. I don't know if there was a mental, well, we really suffered on Sunday because we put too much into Thursday, and now we've got Chelsea on Sunday, so we don't want to put too much into this again. So we're going to try and play at a slower pace. If that's the message that's gone out, you can't do that against a team like Bournemouth because you know what you're going to get from them is intensity. They're really good. So Ange has to take massive responsibility. Stuff last night, things like playing Gray. I have no problem with benching Son. To be honest, I'd bench him most weeks, but Johnson on the left is just not it. Clearly, Solanke wasn't right, and it might have been still ill. Maybe his touch was off. It was actually off in the Europa League game against Roma last Thursday as well. Might not be 100%. I'll give him a little grace on that. But when you need someone to step up from that last night and grab the game, there's no one to do it. Kulusevski tried but didn't play well. But he was the one who was trying to do things, didn't play well. It was a huge leadership problem in that team.
You've been banging this drum for I can't tell you how long.
When
Yeah.
you're in moments, I don't really want to mention the weather because both teams had to play in it, right? But you go to a stadium like Bournemouth and it's smaller than everybody else's, right? So if the wind is up, it's going to impact you more. When you look at the Madison corner, we nearly scored straight from a corner where Kepa kind of punched it out. Kepa isn't the reason Kepa ends up punching it like Superman is because he thinks he's going to claim it and the wind gets hold of it. It was like that, but both teams had to play with it. And Bournemouth knew that they could use it a bit to cause a bit of carnage going the other way. We don't. We don't react to these elements or anything like that. We don't think, actually, do you know what? Putting a few into the box here might not be the worst idea when you've got a target man like Solanke now. It's just playing, and the opposition's there and happy and content with it. The thing in terms of the anger after the game from the supporters, like you can totally understand it because that was like a rerun of the defeat at Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and it's like you're not seeing any learning from what
So if you have
previous
a
mistakes have
one-off
been.
bad day, you go, shit, it's Bournemouth away on a Thursday night, it's cold, it's wet, it's windy, whatever, and you have a bad night, okay, can happen. But it's not the first time. That day at Crystal Palace, by the way, the sun was in my eyes all game, so I'm not using the weather here as the reason why, because the conditions at Palace that day were absolutely fine.
When you say about the kind of lethargy in the passing and stuff, do you think is there a chance he's losing the players, or are you
It's
not
a
quite there?
possibility, yeah.
Sure.
This is where for me. you'd have to have the conversation because on that last night is you'd have to say, are they playing? You'd have to look at that and ask that question. So if you don't get a response on Sunday, then that's alarming. But there might be a mental problem here now because that at centre back and what's happened with the goalkeeper has told you seismic.
Yeah, and
Absolutely seismic.
to flip it back to the fantasy football side of it, then like I don't know. I look at your run coming up, and it's a mixed run. How do you kind of navigate Tottenham assets with the potential adversity in terms of the managerial position at the minute and the general mood and narrative around the club? Again, like you said at the start, it's not even 2 weeks since that City result. Football's crazy.
Yeah, but then also 2 weeks before that we lost to Ipswich,
Yeah,
and then before that what we beat Villa 4-1, and then before that we lost at Palace. So I was clear last week when I said to you there will continue to be inconsistencies. I can kind of live with the inconsistencies in the results. It's
yeah.
when the performance like last night is really questionable in terms of like basics. Basics in terms of running and passing the ball to each other is it's really questionable out what their desire was last night. In terms of the Spurs assets, Johnson is a hold, I think. He's the only one really. Porro, the thing with Porro is you do look at Southampton the week after and think, I could whack me in a 15 pointer there,
He
couldn't
almost
he?
scored, to be fair, when he came on. There was a good save from a Kepa.
It's one of our rare efforts on goal from last night, yes. And he has that in his locker, right? He's a great striker of the ball. We really missed him last night, although it's worth saying when once he came on the pitch, he was as shit as everybody else. He'll come back into the team on Sunday. There's no concern about that. On Sunny, it's rotation as well. He'll come back in the team on Sunday. I don't know what he's going to do. If I know Ange, I think that he might just play Son, Johnson, Madison, and Kulusevski because this is who we are,
Just
mate.
go for it. Yeah, I was just he took the words right out of my mouth.
I mean, with what we've got available, if Romero's not available, he's probably got to play Basuma at centre back. He cannot. I promise you, he cannot play Archie Gray at centre back. I don't really want to criticise the lad. He's a boy,
No,
but
but
he's
it's
not a
protecting
fucking
him.
centre back.
I
Yeah,
think there's an element of you need to know when to throw these players in as well.
and it's not like he's even. He's playing against an experienced player like Davis. Dragashin is a fucking nightmare, right? So that's what he's got to play next to him, right? So I think if Romero's not available, and they are gonna try and see if he can train today. If he's not available, then I think it has to be Basuma at centre back. But the problem with that is then you haven't got number six because
Yeah.
Bentancur's suspended as well,
And
right?
what you said about how you play out from the back, you need someone in there that's comfortable with it.
I
It's the
think it
knock
would
on impact.
just it would with what's available, you'd have to play Basuma at centre back and play Sarr as the six. I think,
Is Saar
but
comfortable
then
kind of receiving back to
you
ball?
cannot play a double pivot. You'd have to play them four attackers in front of it and just go for it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what he's going to do. If you're asking me what I think he does, I think he'll play great at centre back if Romero doesn't make it. And I'm telling you, he cannot do that.
Yeah, I think that could be career suicide for the kid, to be
I want
honest.
to sit here on Monday morning and we've been backs to the wall and we've won 1-0 and he's man of the match and I'd be over the moon. But I'd also be astonished. If you are looking at that fixture as a Jackson and a Palmer and stuff like that, and if you are even deliberating for 1 second, I might bench Jackson this week. You are. People say to me, "Am I mad, James?" Yeah, I'm telling you, you'd be mad if you bench Nicholas Jackson this week. You
It
obviously wouldn't bench Cole Palmer.
it would be the most Spursy thing to now come out and beat Chelsea.
If
And
you're
like,
sitting there and it's like something like, "Oh, it's Jack," I've got to bench Jackson or João Pedro this week. I'm telling you, bench João Pedro.
fair
And of
play.
course, yes, because how many times have we seen it this year? The Man City game, the Man United game, the Villa game. Could Tottenham put in a great performance on Sunday and beat Chelsea? The answer remains yes. But I failed to see it. Here's ultimately the key thing, though. I'll ask you this question. With what Tottenham have available at the moment, so count out Romero and Van der Ven and the goalkeeper, which Tottenham player will get in the Chelsea team that plays us on Sunday?
Uh, I'm trying to think. Reverse engineer. What's Chelsea's weaknesses? With what's available, Udogi maybe, but I think
Over
Cucurella's.
European Championship winner Mark Cucurella, who dog has
Yeah,
been shit this season.
yeah, that was me trying to be kind. I'd say none, to be honest.
Fine. I think you could have a debate about Pedro Porro, maybe. Kulusevski's a good
Yes.
player, but you wouldn't put him
Yeah.
in ahead of Palmer at the same position.
Yeah, no,
You're not,
Porro's a
and
good show.
anything else you're not. You could maybe have a debate about Son on the left. No. I think Chelsea, by the way, would be wise to play Neto and Madueke in the wide areas
Why?
on Sunday and accept that they might lose the fullbacks a little bit, which might give us a little bit more control in certain stages. But the way they will hurt us with those two players on transition, we will get fucking annihilated if they play those two players.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching this game now. So,
The reason
yeah.
I asked the question is because if people cannot see what I keep screaming, that the personnel in the attacking areas, i.e., midfield and up front at Tottenham Hotspur, is not good enough, then I'm just preaching to the wall. And that's why there's a defence here. Because the players that would compete to get in that Chelsea team at the moment are Van der Ven, Romero, and the goalkeeper. And I'm not saying you would, but those you can, okay, let's sit down and have a
We'd have a
conversation.
conversation. Yeah.
They are not available. Romero might be. And Lord knows we need that nutcase on Sunday
Yeah, and
because I worry if he's not. And it's looking at the moment, it sounds more like he won't be available than he will.
yeah, and this is where I think it's probably more of a conversation for Patreon in more depth in terms of like the Ange in, Ange out. But I think it all comes down to expectations versus what's available, right? And yeah, it's a deeper conversation. But yeah, listeners, that's a wrap of all the games. This will be out for you later today. Like James said, there's a differential show coming out later to preview the week on Patreon. I've scanned through the Twitter questions, and I'm not going to lie, we basically covered everything through the games. Is there anything from Blue Sky that you think's particularly good or useful to call out that
We'll
we
do this
haven't?
one FPL slippers, which I presume is not Andy Mears, but just FPL slippers. Who do you think could be the best differential player in any position over the whole Christmas period? Game weeks 15 to 20 need to hold for all 6 game weeks.
Jesus Christ! I mean, I'm going to need some time to find that. I mean, differential, like, go on. I feel like you probably have something in mind for that. I'm on the app having a look, trying to buy myself some time.
Um, Odegaard, but I don't think he's the right buy from Arsenal.
But this is the thing. Is it like, are you just trying to be differential for the sake of it?
Well,
But
yeah, you could put Jared Bowen in, but the West Ham's last two fixtures on that run of Liverpool and Man City, so it would be the next four, and it's specifically saying the next six.
I'd say De Bruyne. I think
Nah.
if he can get himself fit by the time Everton at home comes around, I mean, I don't know what his price is,
I'd
but
say I'll still throw Brennan Johnson into that actually. If
if he plays on the right,
he plays on the right.
I feel like we could find one from Chelsea in there.
This is it, man. It's like yesterday chasing game, bringing on people like Werner, man.
Say that again.
Bringing on people like Werner. But he played Bergvall as a six in like the last 10 minutes. Lad's not ready. Another 18-year-old boy, man. The squad depth is just not there. If everyone's fit, we're a good team. Take any component out, we're fucked until we're fucked till we buy a goalkeeper, basically. So
Was that?
for that reason, I'm still very much stick with Ange, but you are probably going to get people who are going to bounce against it. And this isn't answering the question. I
I was
don't
going to
really
say, are
care
you
about
trying to buy
FPL right
something?
now. Let's end the podcast.
All right, everyone. To help James get over his frustrations, please help him, us, and Sudge the boss by keeping us happy. Dropping the stream a like if you're watching it on
Did we just
YouTube.
try and sell Patreon as a James sympathy vote?
Yes, I'm trying.
Thanks.
Let me
Cheers.
finish. Yeah, if you want Patreon, sign up www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. And yeah, share the pod with your mates. All of that good stuff. Good luck for the next game week. May your arrows be green. Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck. Play it your way and be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man child.